Yeah, because he's the father of that one guy and of the kid. Because the kid, the younger Gallagher kid, dates his daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. No, can we restart?
No, we can't restart.
Ah.
I always catch you at the worst times. Remember that.
That's understandable. We're not talking about Shameless. That show's gross.
Well, actually, we were talking about
The actor, but
a lot of the there's 2 actors at least
from Shameless.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about those later and other actors and stuff. But I really don't want to talk about Shameless on the podcast.
No, I'm good on that.
I want to talk about Fiona.
It's not even like a bad show for real.
It's not, but it's a very mature show, and I'm not capable. Also, I haven't watched all of it. Like I've only got to season 6 of 8.
Anyways, guys.
Okay.
This is the Real
Deal
podcast.
Oh.
Welcome back in.
And we just welcome back, guys. It's every time I'm not trying to say it's been a minute, but
it has been a minute.
It's been a couple minutes if you do the math.
Yeah.
But
we're in college, and I'm gonna always use that excuse.
This time though, it's not like we just didn't have a plan. This time we were actually putting in the work. Because this is our first time we've done we've watched some movies, we've done our research before. We were watching movies and prepping for the franchise to drop. And this franchise has a name. But before I say the name, let me ask you a question, Christian.
Yeah.
Do you like monkey movies?
Yeah.
Do you like CGI specific monkey movies?
Oh yeah.
Do you like monkey movies that are a reboot of a franchise that happened almost 60 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Then I got a movie series for you.
Let's say it together on 3.
3,
1,
2, 1. Godzilla
King Kong.
and Kong. Yeah.
Oh man, another King Kong episode.
Psych.
What?
We're not doing this.
Oh.
We were originally going to.
Oh my god,
but we
dude.
were like, there's so many Godzilla movies, and so we're like,
I mean, I've seen
a lot
of them,
but also like there was just so many, and we're like, also we didn't have access to. I saw Godzilla -1, but for the time of recording, also those movies came and went, relevancy so quick, and we were like, well, what's a shorter franchise that has monkeys in it? Monkey Man, yeah, but
very good Bollywood film.
It was, but I don't know, but that doesn't have much CGI.
That's true. I think the only CGI that they do is like set extensions and stuff. I don't think that they. Let me think of something that's maybe more CGI and more.
Kung Fu Panda.
Oh
Monkey.
yeah, Monkey from Kung Fu Panda.
No, but he wasn't in the new one.
No, he wasn't in the new one.
I don't understand.
Only if there was a franchise where we had, I don't know, let's say a revolutionary. Let's say he has a new race of sentient creatures and he fights for the equality of his species to just have a place to live. I wonder if there's any movies like that.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Way of Water came out, but that was a whole year ago.
That's a whole year ago, yeah.
But
I haven't even seen that one.
But you know what? I did just watch a movie that was super similar. Kingdom, the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, I think I just saw that too.
We should cover those movies sometime.
Yeah, that works.
How about we cover them right now? You feel good?
Man, sorry for the super.
Everybody stopped listening.
Everybody stopped listening after we listed the second series of movies.
We are talking about the Planet of the Apes films. Not all of them. Not the classics. Not the reboot by Tim Burton. That while we could have done that, we want to talk about more of the main newer series.
We're talking about the series that matters right now.
The 2010 CGI series.
Yeah. The stuff that's getting a continuation.
Because we were doing this. We saw the trailer for the new movie, The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and we were like, oh, is it like a new reboot or is it like a part of it? It's a part, so it takes place 300 years after the events of the last trilogy. And we were like, okay, so it's a part of the franchise. And if you guys don't know the news, if they get good box office reports.
Yeah, which speaking of, I'm going to search up while you're talking about this.
They are hoping to do a whole template where in film, there's stuff called a story Bible. But what that is basically you have a lot of your story already planned out and you have all these characters and stuff. And so there's a template. Like Star Wars, the prequels was already planned out the moment the first stuff came. Obviously there's writing you could do in between, but the whole beginning, middle, end have been planned. And so they're working on making the old trilogy that just happened in the 2010s, this film, and 5 more into a 9-film franchise.
I don't know if they're going to though. Currently, the worldwide box office is $343 million.
They had
$47 million.
I will say this: we can talk a little bit about box office because I wanted to maybe bring up a little bit. May had a terrible box office
Yeah.
for any movie. Because here's the thing. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was kind of riding off late last weekend of April's following into May. And then there's Memorial Day weekend, which came out with Furiosa and Garfield. And this Memorial Day weekend releases of Furiosa and Garfield have had the worst, aka the lowest film or the lowest box office of a Memorial Day in 40 years.
That's rough. I expected that out of Garfield.
1985, so I guess 39. But
I expected that out of Garfield, but not Furiosa.
Garfield had higher turnout than Furiosa.
That's crazy.
People love their cat movies. Chris Pratt.
True.
I mean, last year, Super Mario Bros. Made $1 billion with Chris Pratt. But also, like, the approach there with the Garfield movie, I haven't seen it yet, but it was very different. But yeah, they're planning on making they're hoping to make a 9-movie plan. We're about halfway now because this would be the 4th movie in the franchise. So it'd probably be like 3 sets of trilogies.
Oh, actually, they made almost double back, or almost.
Well, you have to include like marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe look up if they have greenlit the sequel to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
It cost $160 million to make the movie.
Just 160?
Yeah, that was the full budget. They've made back $300 million.
I will say I really appreciate because it has a good story to it.
Mm-hmm.
But these films alone, besides like Avatar, are the motion capture prizes.
Yeah, so I think when it comes down to like the big VFX movies, there are 3 categories. There is, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then obviously there's King Kong and Godzilla.
Yep.
And then there's basically what it is. It's Avatar, Kaiju, Monkeys. That's like the only 3 huge franchises.
Because all
right
the
now.
other stuff is like, if it's based in motion captured, it's like the Demogorgon, like a monster,
like
featurette.
Aliens, which I don't know
stuff,
if they're doing motion capture for, but they might.
Yeah, for the new Alien movie, that is something we're gonna do way down the line this year, which is gonna be a Alien.
That'll probably end up being our Halloween episode.
Yeah, that's also gonna be like all the Alien films, like not. So this one was more the new franchise. Those are gonna include the old 4.
Yep.
Maybe the Predator versus Alien films. We feel like doing them.
Like, I'm down to do them, especially for like a huge and also.
Because they're like semi-important.
Yeah, and don't hold us to this yet, but I do want to say I'd like to do, if hopefully before then, but a huge episode like that would be really cool to do video for. Mm-hmm. We don't really have like a set though. That's the thing is like, I feel like we have studio space that we could use, Studio D and stuff. We could totally set up a set. It's one of those things where we're just going to have to talk about it and figure out, but we do kind of want to do something with video. And just for more upcoming stuff, before we get into the review and stuff, we've finally purchased a 3rd mic.
Yeah.
So
interviews so soon.
Yeah, interviews so soon. We want to do.
We got everyone lined up.
Name
a guy.
Still working, but we're gonna try to do an extra segment on the podcast.
I really like the making movies is hard.
Yeah. We were talking about titles and stuff, and like doing one where it's like making movies is hard, where 3 video students go through and talk about
3 video people in general.
3 video people in general, yeah. But more than likely, we'll probably end up getting a lot of the directors and stuff that we work with on it. But having 3 students and or 3 video people just talk about experiences when it comes to making movies. How hard it is, the nitty gritty, like talking straight up, like pre-production,
and even like
production,
some
post-production
here and there.
Yeah, we want to start because we have a bunch of short films and stuff that we've done. We have a bunch of classwork that we've done that like totally deserves to be talked about because it's one of those things where there's so many mistakes that we made through that like hopefully we can help and teach and kind of use our degree that we're getting to help you all and maybe help your pursuit in video.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you know us in real life and stuff and you have any questions about any part of the podcast, please let us know. And even if you don't know us in real life, go ahead and comment down below any questions. We will be more than happy to
Christian
answer.
will happily send you his personal email and phone number.
I don't know about that. But so when it comes down to it, we've been away for a bit, but we've been trying to... do schoolwork. College is hard, but
we have trimesters, so we're not like it's not like we go to a video school.
Yeah.
We're not like becoming astronauts, so we don't have like or even technical engineers. Like we have a lot less work than you guys do, but we have our own field of work that takes up a lot of time consumption, and especially with us being year round, getting these degrees, almost climbing towards our senior year, which is insane.
We're in our senior year.
You could debate it. I like to not say it's my senior year. I like to still think I'm a junior.
We have 3 semesters left.
I know, but I'm trying to still be youthful.
And that includes this one.
I know, but I'm still trying to feel youthful.
This is our senior semester.
I don't want to be old, Christian. You're older than me. Be
Okay,
old, you gramps.
okay. But when it comes down to it, we've been kind of doing stuff on the sidelines and stuff. Obviously, they're not excuses. And literally every episode, I feel like we start off with like, by the way, guys, it's been forever.
Man,
but
been seeing you since the last year jokes.
Man, but we, we're trying and stuff. And obviously, like, we, are so happy that you're here and supporting us still. So, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Let's talk. By the way, if you haven't already, the last episode that we went over, we did link our letterboxes, and I'll link them again this time around. Please go check those out, because if you do want to understand kind of our point of view and stuff, kind of the day that we watch it, usually right after we watch a film, we'll throw out a review. And that's the best way to know kind of what's going on behind the scenes. But
well, first of all, let's talk about, like, if you don't know what Planet of the Apes is. Planet of the Apes was originally a movie in 1968 that was based off a novel where essentially the world is taken over by apes. In the original one, though, these astronauts came to this planet and they thought that it was like an ape-ridden planet, and the apes are a lot more civilized, and any humans on that planet or any humanoids were primitive. So honestly, the roles reverse. And those movies were more social commentaries about society, and more of these new films are about just like still social, but more about like
it's more about war.
It's more about war and like race, and like more like race when it comes to like actual evolution. I'm not gonna spoil the original movie, but we fast forward. These new films are almost like they're definitely a reboot. They're definitely they have no connection to the original films.
I would say they're even almost a hard reboot.
Because it's a hard reboot. Caesar is like way different.
The basic idea of these movies is we are trying to develop a cure for Alzheimer's, and because of that, we test the clinical trials on monkeys, and we find out that it increases their intelligence. And the lab is this is basically the synopsis of the first movie.
This is Rise.
Yeah, the lab is shut down. The monkeys are killed, but one of the monkeys, who was a female, gave birth to a son. Bright Eyes, who gave birth to Caesar. Caesar gets raised by the person who was running the project and his grandfather, who has Alzheimer's. And he kind of learns his morality and stuff, and kind of makes this huge connection with these humans. He gets sent away because he gets out of his house. And from then he gets connected with his ape side, and then he starts becoming a social leader for apes, and organizes a breakout.
Goes to the lab, and also like he makes them not as intelligent as he is, because he had like genetic code in him, but he did give them some of the newer serum to make them more advanced a bit. Like he can talk. Yeah. The scene in that movie where they do like a bit of a callback to the original movie, where it's like, "Get your paws off me, you damn dirty ape," whatever, and he goes, "No."
Yeah, he goes, "No."
That was iconic. I remember people back in 2011 kept saying no, but he's only talking ape.
Yeah, for that movie.
For that movie,
and then the second movie, the big overview.
Well, let's not jump too far off the first movie.
I figured I was just getting them a rough timeline so they can kind of know what to expect.
Well, we can go film by film.
Let's go film by film.
So because we also don't have to go that way and then come back and people. So like in the first movie, like pretty much said the way it was.
Caesar is an ape born of his mother, Bright Eyes, who was a part of an Alzheimer's research.
Because Will,
group.
The main character played by James Franco, the Green Goblin. Let's go.
Fire.
He
did a great job in this film.
In this film, he's recovering from some cancel culture stuff, but his whole motivation is that, like, the program is like it's like a medical corporation. Like, they're discovering new sciences, and we don't really know the point at the beginning until he does a little presentation. He's like, this genetic thing should help and like cure the cells that are like dying in people's brains to fix Alzheimer's. And the thing is that, like, he had tested on the ape. But the ape that died, Bright Eyes, the mother of Caesar, wasn't going crazy because of the serum.
She was going crazy, because she was protecting Caesar.
But she gets killed, and so the CEO of the company kind of like the guy who runs over it all. His name is Steve. He's played by this guy named David.
David Hasselhoff.
Oilowo. He's a great actor. I've seen him in
Yeah.
a couple of projects. He says to kill them all, to start from scratch, he doesn't want to completely get rid of the project, but he's like, we have to run it back, get rid of all the apes.
Which our main character does not want to do.
Because he doesn't want to kill a baby.
And then he goes ahead and tests the drug on his father, who is rapidly
Because
declining.
he needs to, because his father would have died a lot sooner.
Like, he absolutely had to. And it actually works. It saves his father. It is a temporary solution.
Because at some point, the Alzheimer's comes back, and honestly,
the body ends up fighting the virus that they ended up making that was giving these neural pathways.
And he ultimately can't beat what destiny called from. And I honestly like that. So it's a theme in these movies that keeps returning. Man, while we can play God for a little bit, we can never be God, and nor
we always end up destroying ourselves.
Yep,
it's kind of the idea.
And so while he tried to save his father and play against time and nature ultimately won throughout the rest of the time, and it killed his father.
Yeah.
And it ran its natural course. Nature will always run its course.
And Caesar learns from his grandfather and from his father.
Big empathies.
He learns empathy. He learns that humans aren't all bad. There are good humans. And these are fundamental ideas that get brought into the next series of movies.
And then there's we just want to talk about some of the action sequences, so we don't jump to it. Like, because there's some story, but there's also great.
A lot of the movies, the best part about them is the big action.
Action, CGI. Got to give credit to Andy Serkis, who's been in the motion capture business long time. He played, like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. He played Snoke. He's just been like around for a long time. And Caesar, I think, is probably his most notable role besides Gollum. Like in this generation or this like decade, it's been Caesar. And also we're gonna talk about the development, because each film it looks better and better and better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But for what it is, like there's some spots here and there, because it's 13 years old.
I gotta say, the VFX in this holds up extremely well. I think the VFX in this movie were better than the ones in Godzilla X Kong. The new kingdom.
People put a lot more effort into it, and they're also experimenting. Around this time, the only other films that were really doing crazy motion capture
is Avatar.
Were like Avatar, at least to that point. There's like Avatar, like around the same time. There's this movie called John Carter, where they had these characters called the Tharks that were like that, but they weren't like, I don't know how they did it like that. I think big time Avatar set the precedent, and they created new stuff.
It's crazy because Avatar. I feel like Avatar and Planet of the Apes have always just been two movies competing with each other with very similar.
They want to see
styles of shooting.
Who's the better? Like it's a friendly competition. It's not like let me blow you out of the water.
Yeah.
They both coexisted, and then after obviously it took a longer time. They were making a whole new thing for the second film, but Planet of the Apes was like, how can we develop these things more? And each film builds the motion capture more with different creatures, because we didn't even talk about Maurice. I think the best character Maurice, of the trilogy.
Not only do I think he's the best character, but no, I should take that back.
He's his orangutan.
He's the second best character. Caesar is amazing.
Valid.
But
as like a more Maurice, fan favorite,
if Caesar wasn't in the movie, Maurice would be fire.
If Caesar wasn't like the main character,
I would take a spin-off where we learn about Maurice's story. I'm just saying. But
played by a female, by the way.
Yeah, Maurice is played by a female. He's not voice acted by a female though. He's a male orangutan. But
I don't know. I think she could maybe have done something like the.
I guess they do edit a lot of the voices, but when it comes down to it, Maurice is this really really cool
circus
orangutan. So before we get to that part, we have to kind of set up here. Caesar being stuck in the house his entire life.
Wanders off.
Yeah, he doesn't wander off. What happened was
before.
Well, I guess he does wander out.
Will raises him as his own.
Yeah,
and he also isn't like a person like keeping him just.
By the way,
house.
he lives in a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah, he keeps him in a suburban neighborhood, but because they live in, I think it's like Washington or Los Angeles.
The really tall,
wherever the Golden Gate Bridge
the friend's
is.
house. Yeah.
But
is that San Francisco?
Maybe San Francisco, because I think it's the Golden State Bridge, but Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah,
I've never been that far west, but they go to the redwoods across the way, and so sometimes Will is he's a good dad.
Yeah, he's great,
and he lets him be free, but then he also, now that he's lived with Caesar for 8 years, he's becoming attached to him, where he doesn't want to let him go and be this animal, and ultimately he is. But Caesar's been raised almost human wise, and also later in these movies we feel that because Caesar was raised by this great human and his father,
he
has
gives humans a lot of the time
so
the benefit
much
of the
more
doubt.
empathy than they deserve.
And by the way, that is a huge point in like the rest of the movies. And honestly, I really, really like that the leader had empathy towards humans.
You want peace.
It made everything so much more heartbreaking. It's such a good thing. But we take him to the redwoods and stuff, and then their poor neighbor. His daughters are playing, and Caesar comes out. He just wants to play with them.
This guy gives you the word. Okay, so so first thing happens is like the dad.
He thinks that Caesar is attacking his little girls.
Well, yeah, so the little girl, and so he scares him off, and then Caesar's not allowed to leave the house anymore. And then it happens again like 10 minutes later or something. The father's Alzheimer's starts coming back.
And he wanders.
He wanders off to try to drive this car, and he crashes it. And the neighbor,
his car.
rightfully so, is like, hey, get out of the car. Like, you just crashed my car. But Caesar doesn't know that. Caesar obviously only sees and acts and tries to protect his grandfather.
Yeah.
Who is a human. Like, he's adopted and stuff. But
his
like,
actual elder, like, of the group.
Yeah, and he bites the guy's, like, thumb off or something. And then he has to either be put down or put in a monkey home.
Yeah. Which the monkey home that he goes to is this big sanctuary.
It's like a cage from.
Yeah. It was. There's one big play area, and then there is just like cages that
Caesar's never been to it, and so first thing is like when he gets dropped off, he feels a little betrayed and also lost
but also he still holds out hope for.
He tries to play with the other monkeys.
Well, not even that. He holds out hope that
Will come back.
That he'll come back the next day, and I will say, for living with his owner for 8 years, he did kind of give up on him really quickly.
Well, I mean, I guess because that first day we meet Rocket, who becomes a great character, but in the beginning he is this intimidating.
He's just straight up a chimp.
He's the chimp. Yeah. He's the head chimp of the people, and
he's the head of the troop.
Caesar tries to make friends, and he beats him down.
And like, that sucks because at this point Caesar is basically a human interacting with animals.
Yeah.
None of these are all the only ape that was not an animal when he met him was Maurice. Which is interesting. What's the gorilla's name?
I don't know the OG one. Let me look it up.
Oh my gosh.
Because the new one is
he's so cool.
The new one is Luca, but spoiler, this one dies.
Which, spoiler alert for the whole podcast. I would hope you wouldn't watch this before watching any of these movies.
Yeah.
If you were planning on watching them.
Or like Buck. His name is Buck.
Okay. So Buck is a gorilla whenever he meets him. But
he's also sheltered off. Like he's locked up in a.
He's locked up because he's more aggressive than the rest of the apes. Mm-hmm. But all he wants to do is play. He just wants to play with everybody. Yeah. And it's really cute, by the way, whenever he gets let out. But we have him at this facility. The guards treat the apes horribly.
Played by my boy Draco Malfoy, Tom Felton.
And then through a couple of events, Caesar gets the upper hand on the guards and lets out everybody.
Yeah,
he doesn't. He lets out, or he gives Rocket a cookie.
He takes command. Basically,
he takes command. He bribes Rocket,
but he never takes it forcefully.
No,
he showed it as a sign of respect and like that
dignity.
he is dignity. Like even though Rocket was the stronger one, he messed with him a little bit when he did get like more ability and power. Yeah. But like he gave people a chance, and that's a side of empathy that no matter like what you do, he tries to find peace with you. Mm-hmm. And then Rocket becomes one of his like lead guys. Yeah. And then they bust out a little bit. They go to the place because he finds out where he's from by Will. They steal the parts. Yeah. They gas all of the apes in that facility, and then they're a lot smarter the next day. They know what's going to happen.
Yes, and before that happens, Rocket and Caesar go and release Buck. Yeah. And he just runs around the facility and just plays a little bit, and then he's like happy, and then he has respect for Caesar after that, and then he becomes smart, and he's like one of the most important. Yep. He's one of the most important background apes.
In that film.
In the film, yeah, for sure.
And then I guess going to the human side, because that's also an important part. While this is happening, Will is trying to both handle his job and as the thing is, when he lets go of Caesar, he thinks he has something to rely on, which is his work and his father. But then his father shortly passes. Yeah. Caesar doesn't get to see his grandfather anymore.
No, he doesn't. And then also
at the work while they're testing.
he gets Caesar like a where he can go home.
He like because Caesar gets beaten down and he figures that out, and he could have just taken him at that point, but Caesar chooses to stay because at that point he's home.
Yeah, he's an ape.
He's an ape now, and then so now Will focuses only on the only thing he knows, which is his work, and they've tried to get a new version that they've tested on apes. This one ape being Koba, who's been probably used so many times as a test ape.
Yeah, poor Koba.
His face is deformed, and he's like already looking so scary.
Hashtag free my boy Koba.
And then there's also this, like Steve, like we said, is the CEO. He's really pushing it, and that's also probably why they're rushing a lot of the work. But while they're working on Koba, one of the scientists, his name was Franklin. They're doing some of the new genetics on the ape with like the test. He gets exposed to it, and he starts getting sick. So they send him home, and I think during this time he also tested on himself. He checks himself and he realizes he's sick. He goes to Will's house, but he's not there. And the poor neighbor is there, and he coughs on him.
And then what's crazy is that's a ground zero for the virus that ends up killing most of humanity.
Something we'll learn is that maybe the humans don't understand it. Like but they do.
Yeah,
that's we'll talk about that in the future. But like, it's a human-based virus that happens. That they're playing around with simian blood.
The apes have zero involvement in the virus.
Zero accountability. They don't have anything about it. Like they were tested on, but it was the humans that got it in their system, and they don't get sick by being around the apes, but because it's like a human transmitted disease.
Yeah. So then after that, Caesar kind of leads a revolution to free all the apes. Yeah. And as he does, he kind of rampages through the city a bit just to get to the redwoods. They don't kill anybody. They don't do anything like that. But
Caesar stops them from trying to kill him.
Yeah, it's like straight up just a bunch of apes running around.
They also free like regular zoo apes too.
Oh yeah, and then whenever they free the zoo apes, they get infected really quickly.
Well, I don't know about those ones. I think they just
they like got shot too. A lot of those got shot.
I think they might have gotten like. I think they just follow leadership, like apes.
Yeah, probably.
Monkey see, monkey do.
So then they have this awesome standoff at the Golden Gate Bridge.
They get some horses.
They do. They get some horse. That's where they get their horses from. Is from police on horses, and then also they have a group of apes go down below the bridge. They swing across. And then they end up coming on the sides of where the police had their defensive. And they pushed a bus all the way up to the front line. And
also during this time, while they're doing the whole breakout revolution thing, they do go and start destroying all the progress and freeing the enslaved apes at the test site.
Yes, and then Koba joins.
Yeah, Koba escapes with them, and he kind of goes and follows Caesar. And the CEO, Steve, I think it was a stupid decision as a character. But I understand. I guess not really. He gets in a chopper and he tries to tell him that that's the guy we have to attack. And they go on the redwood and they start shooting him. And unfortunately, Buck protects Caesar from the bullets and takes down the chopper. And then Caesar actually he goes up to the chopper after receiving Buck. And even with all this anger and no matter to the limits he's pushed, he still tries to feel empathy. And he doesn't kill him. Yeah. But then Koba does. Who's been the test subject of all these people, sees this guy as the face of all of the science.
He gets his revenge.
And he just tosses the thing off the cliff. And I mean, like, rightfully so.
Yeah.
In this world, like in another world, it's like I'm a human, he's a human. I wouldn't want that. But
yeah, of course. But this is like
fictional
years of trauma.
Ape land. Yeah. I can see what Koba's doing.
And then they finally get to the redwoods, and that's. But before they get to, right when they get to the redwoods,
Will stops
Caesar and gets to talk to him one more time.
He tells him to come home. He begs him to come home with him.
And then Caesar says,
he brings him in.
He brings him in close, and he goes, "Caesar is home."
And then he's like, "You just like, hey, wait a minute, how would you let her talk?" But no, and then he's like, "Caesar's home," and he accepts it.
Yeah,
and that's the last time we see James Franco.
So then the next movie,
Dawn
of the Planet
of the Apes.
This movie takes place.
I think it's 8 years.
Yeah, it's a good amount of time.
Because overall, from this whole trilogy, the first 3 movies takes place. Besides like Caesar growing up, from the start of the events, 15 years. from the redwoods.
Like 98% of human life has been killed or something.
So at the end of
the
the
virus
movie,
spread.
the main scientist dude dies.
Called the
so
simian
it's
flu.
It's a deadly disease. The neighbor spreads it to more people, and it just keeps spreading. 98.
It's basically like a COVID. Like it spread like really quickly. It overtook humanity.
If
really
COVID
quickly.
was more fatal, and everybody was not exposed to it, and like it wasn't like any immunity and stuff.
Yeah.
98% was done. The civilization's all wrecked.
They call it the simian flu.
Humans are blaming the apes for it because they saw on the TV that it was like a ape outbreak, and then it led to that.
And now Koba and Caesar and the troop, they're all really tight.
But they're in the redwoods, but they built a civilization.
They like built up this awesome
village
fort, and they're like
they're living peacefully.
Yeah, they're living peacefully, and there's the little symbol that they use
is the window.
Is the window from the first movie where Caesar was staying in his room, and that's where he would always look out. Now that's like become kind of a symbol that he uses to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But we're sitting here and we see this awesome society that the apes have built.
A son now.
He does.
2 sons.
No, not yet. He doesn't have Cornelius yet.
Well, he has them like later in the.
Yeah, he has 2 sons.
But the beginning is the one son. They go out on a hunt, and we get to see them like blue eyes, and we see them on this epic like hunt sequence where again they have upgraded their motion graphics to make it look so good.
By the way, Maurice still looks great.
He looks good in every single film, and he looks the best because I think, like I said, for the Planet of the Apes movies, a lot of the like apes, not really like the chimps or simians or like the orangutans or gorillas. Those ones are more like realistic to match them, besides their eyes maybe.
Yeah.
But for like Caesar and some of the lead talking characters, their face structure is molded a bit to the actors.
Yeah.
So they look a little human-esque, but mainly still
By
ape.
the way, just so y'all know, Maurice is a day oneer. He is the first ape that communicated with Caesar.
He's Caesar's council.
Yeah, he's the very first. By the way, just so we're keeping count, the council, the inner group, the inner circle
consists of Maurice,
Rocket,
Koba,
and Caesar,
and also the new gorilla Luca.
Luca is awesome. By the way,
he's great.
He's
the Buck replacement, but he honestly he makes his place known, and I respect it.
Oh yeah, I hate winter, but we'll get to that in a second.
That's the next movie.
But we're sitting here, and we have these awesome characters. By the way, Rocket has developed so much from this ape
rival
beat down Caesar to a legitimate counsel and friend
and a father.
Yes, and a father. Which, by the way, some crazy shit happens later on in this movie. But this is going to show you just how deep the connection and bond and respect between this council of people and Caesar is. And because we're borrowing from Roman mythology and stuff. Of course they're going to go the route of somebody in his council betrays him.
Yeah. So it starts off like you go a little bit. The first time we see any human interactions is in the redwood. His son goes out for a hunt real quick, and they run into a human who gets really scared of them because obviously all the humans know, or most humans know, that apes.
If you have the
bad.
apes, they'll either give you the virus or they'll kill you.
Yeah, and so he impulsively shoots at it. Doesn't kill him. He shoots.
No. He shoots at Ash and Blue
Rocket's
Eye.
son is Ash. And Blue Eyes, they're like best friends.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the human party shows up.
By the way, he does shoot Ash, but Ash doesn't die from this.
No, in the arm.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the human group shows up, and we meet like the main character. I have his name here, but I think his name is like Wendell. Him, his like new girlfriend, and his son.
By the way, common thread through most of these movies.
Malcolm. His name is Malcolm.
The human side of it, not nearly as entertaining as the ape side. And the only time that is not true is in the first movie. The human side of that was so necessary.
Yep.
But this one, there's a human settlement that live across the bridge. Yep. They're kind of rebuilding. They're trying to start this dam up that's in ape territory.
Because they get told to leave. They meet up with the apes. Caesar tells them to go.
And by the way, Rocket's upset because his son just got shot.
But Caesar, and oh my gosh, respect on Rocket's behalf.
Oh my
God.
God.
You said, the growth from this to that, because in these first couple scenes, we see Rocket a little furious because obviously his son is hurt and he wants to take action. But then Caesar literally says, no, they're gone now, and he doesn't even have a second thought.
He goes, that is exact. You are right.
You're so wise.
Yes.
And then, boom.
It's done.
Loyalty.
Dude,
He
I
commands
love
so much
Rocket.
loyalty.
By the way, I think it's really fun that the dad lore between Caesar and Rocket is continuing with Blue Eyes and Ash. They're best friends. Anyways, it's just very good. By the way, the second movie, this is... I think, did you put it as your top one as well?
It's my top one.
Okay, so for both of us, it's the best movie.
For most of the public, it's the best one.
Yeah.
But they go back across the bridge, and they meet a guy named Dreyfus, who's played by Gary Oldman. Great actor.
Great actor.
He is kind of like the head front of the settlement there, and there's like... They're low on resources. Their power just went out, so they sent Malcolm and his team up to the redwoods to go to this dam, so they could
which is deep into ape territory.
Deep ape territory that they didn't know for sure, but they were like, "What did you see?" And the dam could possibly restart the electricity through hydroelectricity.
Oh, and also, what's our main character's name again?
Malcolm.
Malcolm gets inspired after seeing and super fascinated with the apes after Caesar talks to him. He goes, "No, you have to leave."
Yeah.
Which he goes back and he tells the leader of this colony, "Hey, this ape spoke. They think they're sentient." And he's like, "No,
That's not true.
That's
And
not
then,
real."
So then literally like the next moment, because during this time, like Koba is scared because he trusts Caesar like fully, and like Caesar has commanded such loyalty, and all of his apes follow him undyingly. But then Koba, who is honestly this same different side of the same coin.
Yeah,
where
they both come from the same place.
They both have a distaste for humans and realize they're dangerous, but where Koba is completely not, he's been hurt by humans. Yeah. He's against the humans.
No benefit of the doubt. Caesar gives them the benefit of the doubt.
So Koba is still counsel, and Caesar respects it and takes his counsel and says, "We need to show them that we are a threat, and we don't want war, but we need to show them that we have power."
They can't just come in here and destroy the place.
They return, they hear some noises, they come back. The entire army, probably 500 apes maybe, are on horses and spears and stuff. And Caesar says to them, "Apes not want war, but we'll fight if have to." Yeah. And it scares them, but it's an authority tactic. But he has this already immediate connection with Malcolm.
Yeah, they give back Malcolm his bag, actually. That's the reason that they ended up walking back in.
Bag, and they say, "Do not come back here."
Yes. And funny enough, Malcolm goes back. Except, this is the interesting part. Malcolm goes by himself, and he's going there to try to reason with Caesar and let him know that they need the power. They need this.
Or they'll die, and it'll just be the apes.
And they talk to... What's really interesting is I like seeing how Malcolm and Caesar get along, because Caesar gives Malcolm his trust. And it takes a minute. It does take a minute for him to give him his trust, but he does. He gives him his trust and lets him know that he has his trust. And Malcolm doesn't betray that trust, which, thank God, that ended up becoming a little bit...
He is the last good human in the franchise.
Yes, he is the last good human.
Besides Nova, but she doesn't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're sitting here, and Malcolm doesn't betray his trust, but war does end up starting to boil up.
Because while they go up there and they do fix some stuff...
oh my God! What's the dude's name who had the shotgun after they asked him? So he goes up there to plead, and he goes, "Caesar, listen, we need this hydroelectric dam."
His name is Carver.
"We'll go in and be gone, and we'll never come back up unless it goes down again." And we'll, basically, he was like, "Just let us fix this so we can have power."
They're working on it, and they also have a couple bonding moments. And during this time, though, Koba is angry that they're doing this, and Caesar's like, "Well, this is my authority.
Dude,
what I say goes." And so he goes and off to do reconnaissance, because he also...
He wants any reason to be like, "I hate humans." But it's not even
like a vengeful thing to Caesar. At this time, he's just doing reconnaissance because he knows that he can't trust the humans.
Yeah, so and he does... what's funny is... what I think is really brilliant about this is Koba still trusts Caesar so much that he's not thinking, "Oh, I hate humans." He's thinking, "I worry about Caesar's life." That's the first thing that he's worried about.
And they do see, though, because it gets planted in the beginning, with the conversation with Dreyfus, that the humans are raiding an armory, and Koba sees it. And when they first go, though, Koba almost gets caught, and he acts like a goofy ape.
He puts on the ape, just a silly ape, being silly. And then whenever they're like, "Oh, get out of here," and he's like, "Okay." And then
the next time,
I like seeing when he walked out of the building, he goes from silly ape to serious Koba,
stone cold Koba face.
And he was so annoyed that he had to do that.
I have to give credit to the actor for Koba. He's been on some stuff. His So his name is Toby Kebbell. And honestly, what I really like about this is Toby Kebbell, well, he's actually a ape recurring guy. Well, we did this movie first. He was also in Kong Skull Island as Chapman.
Oh.
The guy who like was on the other side stranded. And they had to go to him and stuff. This guy.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I can't remember if he played Kong as well for the motion capture.
He may have,
but he's had a pretty good stuff with playing these heroes and stuff, and these like ape capturing.
Yeah.
But Koba is a very compelling villain, and he goes back to the armory again though. But this time he does the whole routine. But then at the part he grabs a gun and he's like so all goofy, and then he just drops him dead. Cold.
And in between that time and this time, we see the humans kick out that member of the group who had a gun.
Because
by the way, he was just a dick.
Yeah, because he was that guy that like couldn't see reason, and it was like, it's a human-made virus and it spread to humans. And he goes, I don't care, the apes are the problem. We have to kill them all. And it's like, dude, and so they lock him up, and everyone else in the group agrees, and then
they send him back home.
They put him in a car. They don't send him. They not until they're done.
Oh no, that's right. He doesn't. Yeah, they lock him up in the car.
Because Malcolm wants to keep as much as Caesar's respect as possible. But then that night, Koba kills Carver firsthand.
Yes. Oh, before that though, I do want to throw out our boy Maurice.
Yes.
Oh, Alexa, stop.
Thank you, Alexa.
Our boy Maurice.
Big time.
He connects with a young human
Malcolm's
boy
son.
who is having a really, really hard time. He lost his mom. He lost his sister. I think he had a sister.
He lost his mom, and then the Malcolm's new girlfriend, she had a daughter. So she's trying to kind of like fill that life with.
What's interesting is Maurice, like he by the way, in all the movies, Maurice has this affinity for children.
Yes.
He is a circus ape. Circus orangutan. He loves entertaining and being sweet to children and humans. He gives a lot of humans the benefit of the doubt, even though they've treated him badly. He's this awesome, very wise ape in Caesar's like confidants.
It's like his his advisor.
It's his right hand man, I think. And I think that
he's his counsel. Like Rocket is like his more supply. I think Maurice is like his like mindset and mentality, like his like advisor, and then Koba is like the war.
I think,
ape.
and also I think Koba is the counterpoint. I think he's the devil's advocate of the group.
Yes,
I think he brings insight into the group that none of the other apes would have.
They don't. Also, they might not want to hear, but it's
exactly.
like this is the
but
dark
sometimes
truth.
You have to, yeah. But we're sitting here and we get these awesome moments where we see the trust that gets built up. And they fix the dam.
Yeah,
they fix it.
The power turns back on. People back in civilization are cheering and partying, and then they are having a good celebration time. They're all coming back. During this time as well, Caesar's wife has his new son, Cornelius. And everything seems great. But obviously, you can kind of tell by the pieces, especially when you saw Koba get a gun, too much of a good thing can never last. And while they're having a great time, and literally in front of all of his 8 people, only Caesar sees it. But Koba looks at him with eyes of almost regret for a moment, and the certainty that he has to do it. He shoots Caesar like in the chest, and like Caesar falls over, and then he comes up and he goes like, Koba blames
oh my god,
it on
a human shot him.
And then Maurice talks and he goes, run.
Yeah,
and
he says that to the group that is Malcolm and a
his
couple
family
other
and stuff, and they run. And
funny, see, by the way, that was the first time Maurice talks, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
Run.
Because it's so deep. And then they do run. They hide underneath the hill. The other 2 guys, I think it's a deleted scene or something, or it's in there. The 2 guys that are with them, that's not the main family, they do get killed.
I mean, I believe it.
By the apes.
It's just so interesting because Koba doesn't want to kill Caesar for power yet.
He didn't want to.
He didn't want to do it. He just thought that Caesar was too sympathetic towards humans and that it was going to get them killed. Yeah. And so he says, we got to get them before they get us. And so it's a totally reasonable mindset, especially with everything Koba's gone through. And all the apes, of course, they love Caesar so much that that was pain. They were going there to fight because of their pain.
I do like, though, that most people, besides like the people that are like super deep loyalty, like all the basic apes, they do rock with Koba. And it also helps that like Blue Eyes, Caesar's son, the moment the humans started showing up, he never and this is a theme I like.
He never fully trusted them.
This is a theme I think I really like. One, he was very close with Koba and stuff, and Koba also saved his life.
Yes.
But for the civilization, it's
like Uncle Koba.
Miscommunication and intolerance, or I guess not having all the intellect, like not being smart in the moment, not knowing some things. Like we'll learn that in the deeper, especially in Kingdom, the Planet of the Apes. Being not knowledgeable of a situation, especially growing up with only apes. Blue Eyes only grown up in the ape thing, and he's told by his father probably to stay away from humans. Not just talking about the good things about humans until cause they have a moment later when he talks about humans are being good, and he should have told him. Koba, being this anti-human person, tells him all these things that humans are bad and that they need to stay away. So he's right on Koba's side.
Yeah, he supports Koba all the way up until Ash. And
so they rush.
They basically storm the base.
It's a great it's a great action sequence.
Oh my gosh! If you haven't seen these movies, please go watch them. They storm the area,
and at first they have all the horses, and they like start throwing them, and they kind of like it's a good medium, but then they have like this like rolling tank with wheels, but then Koba gets in, and they lose a lot of numbers of apes, but then they get in that. At that point, the apes have the most firepower. They blow a hole through the door. They rush the city, and they take all the humans as prisoners. Most of the humans.
Yeah. And as they're going through, Ash, so Koba tells Ash
to kill a human
that falls, and Koba doesn't want to do it. Ash doesn't want to do it.
He says Caesar wouldn't want this.
Yeah. So then Koba looks around, he laughs, and then he grabs Ash and wrenches him up the stairs, and then throws him off the balcony and kills him. Yeah. By the way, this is the first time we've seen ape-on-ape violence ever.
Because apes do not kill apes.
Minus Caesar getting shot. And that was like a necessary thing. This was power. So Koba has gone from
Koba fighting for the apes for Koba fighting for Koba.
Yeah, Koba has now become selfish. And it's in his pursuit of power that he becomes hungry for it.
Yep.
So we see him throw off Ash, and
Blue Eye starts to become distrustful.
Blue Eye doesn't rock with it. And then Ash or Rocket doesn't.
Rocket, Maurice, Luca, and everyone actually deeply loyal to Caesar was locked up with the humans. Same thing. And then at this time, cut back to like the human side. Malcolm and them, they find Caesar still alive, very badly injured, and they know that they have to stop Koba, so they go back to the city, but they stop at Caesar's old house.
Yes. And while he's out and Caesar is recovering, they find Blue Eyes.
Yeah. Malcolm has to get some bandages from the medical kit, and he finds him and he goes, "Your father's alive." And
Blue Eyes is like, "Oh my God, like I need to go see him."
So he goes sees him, and then I have it's a great moment between him and where like Caesar goes like, "It's my fault that I didn't tell you about this stuff. Like it's my fault."
And then he goes and sees a tape where he sees young Caesar how to play piano and talking to his...
And it kind of like, I feel like it revitalizes the sweetness of the empathy of humans. Like obviously there's so much. It's just a moment that I think really, one is nostalgia, but it's also like for him, it's also like another kindling lesson that you can't lose your way.
Yeah, of course.
And then they have to build the urgency where it's like, because at that point it's like, obviously we want to save the humans and stuff, but that's not like a crazy urgency. The urgency is that Koba's about to move all the apes back into the city, even though like the women and children that are still at the camp.
Yeah, and they're going through and doing all this, and Caesar
goes to free Maurice and Luca.
Yeah, goes to free them, and then they start doing. Actually, Blue Eyes is the one who sets up the first thing. Then they finally free the loyalists,
and they're about to go stop Koba, but then they go underneath to try to sneak by, and then Dreyfus is there with his men. They don't see him yet, but then Malcolm tells him to go the another way, and so now it's like Malcolm versus Dreyfus, Koba versus Caesar. Yeah, and so I actually kind of like it because we have a actual fight between two apes, but then we have a
battle of wills.
Oh, like a willpower thing where it's like he tells him he talks to him for a bit, then he grabs a gun and he holds like these other humans at gunpoint to stop him from blowing up the building.
And the thing that I think is really cool, by the way, because he trusts Caesar. That's the reason. He's like, Caesar's got this. Yep. But I think it's really interesting
we have to give him time.
They take the movie from human versus apes and splits it to ape versus ape, human versus human. The final confrontation in the film is not ape versus human. And our two protagonists, Caesar and Malcolm, succeed. Malcolm
holds Dreyfus there, and then Dreyfus tells him that they did contact the army, and then he does blow up the building, or blows up like parts of it, like the structure is all wonky. Malcolm able to get out of there. Dreyfus dies, but then during that confrontation, Caesar goes to Koba, and everyone seeing Caesar's alive starts to have like doubts, and then Caesar tells him, he's like, "You didn't kill me for this anymore. Like, you killed me for yourself. You don't care about." And we see it later, like in a moment, like a quick moment. It's like, you don't care about apes like that. You care about yourself. And they start fighting. And he goes,
his hatred of humans is greater than his love for apes,
and it surpassed it.
Yeah.
And now then Koba has the power now, so he doesn't want to relay it back to Caesar.
By the way, Caesar's big preaching points up until this part of the movie is apes are strong together, and apes do not kill apes. They are not humans, they are apes, and that means that they should be better. They should learn and be better.
And then they have a great fight.
And
then the structure explodes,
and Caesar has to kill Koba
because Koba, like, there's a moment where the structure explodes, and then Koba still can't deny that it's like the fight should be over. There's a scene where like an ape is trapped with a gun, but instead of helping the ape, he grabs the gun and shoots at Caesar.
Yeah.
And then Caesar gets the upper hand. Koba's like dangling from a cliff, almost Lion King resilient, and he goes, "Help me!" And he grabs him, but then he goes, "You are no ape." And
before that, he doesn't go help me. He goes,
shoots.
"Apes don't kill apes."
And then he also shoots Maurice.
Yeah, Koba throws Caesar's line right back into him. And by the way, we haven't talked about this, but I do want to highlight this. Koba, this entire film, he apologizes 3 times.
Yep.
The first time it's genuine.
The second
and
time
he asks for forgiveness. The second time
quick.
he is frustrated and he gets forgiveness really quickly and he runs away. He does not want to look at Caesar in the eyes. The third time he is doing it to get the upper hand, and Caesar sees through it because he's already been tricked twice, and he lets him fall.
Yep.
And it's very interesting seeing Koba go from... He just got consumed by his hatred. He could have been Caesar. He could have been a Caesar. He could have seen the error of their ways and really, really fixed that, but he didn't. And we see that Caesar has to kill him, and he regains order and brings them all back out to the woods.
The end of the movie basically sets up that all the apes are here now. His family's been moved in.
And the military is coming.
Then Malcolm warns the military is coming, and they have to go. And so they leave.
Yeah.
And I think
at the end, Caesar's like, "You've gained my trust."
And he also tells Malcolm and them that they have to leave.
Yeah.
And he did say, "You gained my trust, and this is probably the last human friend that he will have." And then they return back to their civilization, and then it ends. And it kind of like it time jumps a little bit. I think maybe it's like a year or two, or like a year maybe.
I don't even know if it is a year.
It's like maybe like 5 months.
Yeah, something really quick. It's enough time for the military to get down.
But
to them.
I do think though, with everything, this will be like final notes on the movie. Dawn, I think, has the best action, characters, relation, and a reasonable villain. Like, not Dreyfus. I think he's a little one-noted, and it's fine. He's not the main villain. But Koba,
Koba's pretty cool.
I rock with Koba because up until he shoots Caesar, he has all the reasonable points. And then when he takes it, though, it's the fall that turns him to an actual villain, not somebody who does ugly things for the right thing.
It's interesting. He goes from a sympathetic villain to just a villain. The moment he kills Ash is the moment that it's like, he's like, he does not care.
Because the scene where they're like rushing the humans at first, you see Koba have like this slow-mo moment where he's seeing the carnage, but he has to prevail. And I feel like that's when Koba loses himself fully.
Yeah, I think when he had to steel his resolve to be like, this is the decision I made, this is the bed I have to lie in, is the moment he was like, I have to lie in this bed. We're going to win.
Great movie.
Yeah.
We didn't do number scores. Rise, I gave a 7. Dawn, I gave an 8.
I think I did the same thing.
I
think I may have given the first 3 movies all the same rating.
I mean,
I might have given all 9.5.
I mean, like, realistically, I would do
9s.
Like, Letterboxd doesn't let you do halves, but like, Rise would be like a high 7. Dawn would be a high 8. And now we're moving on to War. End of the first trilogy. War takes place, like we say, a couple months. It opens immediately with them. Well, it kind of opens with like a with soldiers.
Yeah, with soldiers.
And they're about to hunt down a part. And I love the first aspect is that we have these apes called donkeys, and they are like.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Actually, I think it's mid-war, so I think it's been a year.
At most, it's been a year because it feels like it could.
We don't see the start of the war. We're just plopped into it.
Right, but it's like they've been searching for a while. They've hit some locations maybe, but it's at least been like a year, if not 6 months. Like
the apes have guns, and they are fighting back. The first scene we open up to is a military battalion
and
fighting.
I like the details on their costumes. Like some of them have like monkey killer. And
like it's like one's like the top species or something.
Yeah.
But they go through and they this costume design was amazing because of that. But they're planning a raid on a monkey defense place, and they do not know where Caesar is. Right. They don't know where he is, so they launch this attack on him. The humans are pretty successful. They kill I think like 30 something.
They
apes.
have grenade launchers.
Yeah,
and one gets away, and then he kind of leads like this cavalry.
They got slaughtered.
Only four humans survived, and one of their turn. So these apes, they say it in the next scene, because like this whole like first 15 minutes is cold. Like it's
They also call these apes donkeys, like you were saying.
Yeah.
They brand them by spray painting them.
They spray paint them,
brand
and then
them with
they
a real
have
brand.
A little A and then an omega. And then they also like they're all named donkeys. They don't have all different names. They use them as pack mules. Like they'll bend down and they grab stuff from them.
And they're rough. They're not like they're not team members.
But
anymore.
The thing is that like we see it once they kill. So like Caesar comes with the cavalry. They kill almost all of the things. There's like a soldier that survives, and he's a bit more of like a recurring soldier guy. Like he comes back, he has a crossbow. That's like his whole personality. But his name is his character name, at least.
I hate that guy.
Is Preacher, and he like kind of takes charge in that moment. But they get interrogated, and so it's like 4 remaining soldiers and one
of the
ape,
donkeys,
one donkey,
and they're talking about like the donkeys, and they're
like old Koba. Like,
they're Koba fanatics. They're followers of Koba. They think that was the way to go.
And he says that he doesn't fear Caesar. He fears like
humans.
He fears the end. The end
and
times.
this resonates with another gorilla that's in the story.
Winter.
His name is Winter, and he's a white albino gorilla.
He starts off as a Caesar helper. I guess he maybe was.
By the way, I didn't realize because I've never seen 3 up until this point.
I saw about half of 3.
We were watching it, and I was like, "Oh, that guy's name is Winter. That's really cool. I hope he's cool."
I had to like hold my tongue because I was like, I already know what's gonna happen.
I was so mad
because he was like, "Do you think?" He was like, "Oh no, Winter," because at that point, like they talk, and Preacher kind of goes like, "You're Caesar. We've looked for you," but then Caesar shows again
mercy
throughout everything that's happened, and in killing Koba, even like being cold, and we're gonna talk about him being haunted by Koba. He shows mercy to these humans, and he sends them off.
Yes,
and
he tells them, he's like, "I'm sending you off
to tell you that we don't want war.
We don't want war.
Stay away from us.
You stop doing this, and we will stop."
They do keep the donkey, but then the next moment, Winter comes out and goes, "He knocked me over the head," and he left. And so they have to prepare for. They're kind of at easy times though, and they're prepping stuff. And so his son comes back, Blue Eyes, and he with his new girlfriend, ape character named Lake. They say that they found a location across the desert that would be perfect for the apes.
And then they celebrate. They rejoice. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we should move. We should go now."
Yeah, and we know from the last movie that when the apes are happy, something bad's about to happen.
Like
in the dead of night, like so Caesar's with his family, Blue Eyes, his wife, and Cornelius, and he sees a laser point through that wakes him up, and then he goes to the waterfall.
It's not a red laser, by the way. It's like
green,
a night vision goggle green.
And the thing
laser.
is that wakes him up, and then I think it's so smart. Like obviously, like it's an army thing, but like they zip line from the waterfall to create less sound suppression, and he feels it, and he feels that there's a rope, and so he goes to signal. And then they have like silencers, and he comes downstairs and he starts getting people to help him. And
by the way, it's very interesting because that's a plant and payoff as well.
Yes,
he knows that there's a rope there now forever. So that comes back later.
And so he goes to try to alert some guys. And then during this, while he's trying to alert some people, this soldier guy who we heard at the beginning is the colonel. He has like his sights pointed on what he thinks is Caesar.
After Blue Eyes had attacked. He stayed back with his mom to protect him.
Because he told him to stay.
And he killed one soldier.
Yeah.
And then there's another soldier who's there, and we see him put the laser up to his head.
But then it cuts back, but then we hear the noise. And then we hear
A walkie
go, King Kong is down. King Kong is down. I love that they don't recognize them as, obviously, because it is like a bit of a race war thing where they don't see them as people or anything besides just animals.
Animals, yeah.
And he goes, King Kong is down. And the moment he knows it, he realizes that was supposed to be me.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because they said, the donkey said during the interrogation in the beginning, all we want is Caesar. He's going to kill you first and then kill everyone else.
So Caesar runs back and he sees that his wife
Blue Eyes.
And also Cornelius is gone.
So they think that he's either dead or missing.
Yeah. And so when he gets mad about this, he sees the general.
He sees the colonel.
Yeah, the colonel. Actually, he sees the colonel first. Then he sees his son dead.
Because he looks over.
But the colonel goes up the
and he starts
zip cord,
to grab the rope.
and then he goes to grab the rope, and Caesar's mad. He's like trying to climb, but he's angry. The colonel, calm and collective, not emotional, cuts the cord. He doesn't even.
Caesar falls
into the river and barely survives again.
At this point, I think the colonel either knows he's dead or suspects it.
Yeah.
But then Caesar gets back up. He comes back and he's starting to get teary eyed, and then he's like, they go to search for Cornelius, and Cornelius is hiding. And at least,
oh my God,
it gives him a bit of hope where he's not fully lost.
This is something we've learned in video. Whenever a character just gets loss after loss after loss after loss, you gotta give them a win, because if you don't, then nobody's gonna care. There has to be human moments.
You don't care, because at that point, what does he have to lose?
But oh my God, in his worst moment, when he realizes his wife and son is dead, he can't catch the guy who killed him. He's angry and vengeful. Little Cornelius comes around the corner, and he just hugs him up. And there's a moment where we see him just be relieved for a second that Cornelius is okay.
One of his sons is still alive.
His only son is alive.
And so that next day,
by the way, this brings Rocket and him a lot closer.
Yes,
because now they've both lost a son.
So the next day, though, because they were told by Blue Eyes and Lake before that they had this new location, they have no choice but to leave now because they know their location.
Yeah.
And so he sends them off, but Caesar goes on basically a suicide mission. And
he's like, I'm going to try to kill this guy.
So, but Maurice tries to stop him and goes, well, listen, you're like the leader of the group. We need you with us. And he goes, I am tainted by my rage, my.
He's like, I can't. He's like, I can't go with you. I have to do this.
I can't cure my revenge. And so Maurice goes, well, okay, we're going with you. So him, Maurice,
and
Luca, and Rocket go with Caesar, and they go off on this mission.
By the way, this is the crew. This is the boys.
OGs, man. Besides, like, Luca came in the last movie, but he's already an OG.
Oh yeah, I love Luca. So we're sitting here. By the way, we need some justice for my gorilla brothers in these movies, just to let you know. But we see this kind of awesome journey that they go on. They find a camp where where Rocket's battalions were thinking this is where they were held up. They weren't. It was a defector and his daughter.
Right.
They shoot the defector.
He does pull his gun first. We'll say.
Yeah. But Caesar's. By the way, this is the moment we see Caesar go from empathetic towards humans to just like, I can't care anymore. To Koba. Yeah, he's starting to turn into Koba.
He has these nightmares throughout the movie where he sees a bloody Koba. Basically
taunting him
and saying that you've become what I have become, and you're further now that humans have taken everything away from you.
Yeah.
And so while they're raiding the camp, they meet this little girl. She doesn't have a name at first, and we'll just call her Nova for now because she becomes Nova later. And Caesar says just to leave her. But
Maurice can't.
The moment we also see her, though, we already know something's wrong with her because she can't speak.
Yes,
but we don't know what it is. But we'll just talk about it now.
Yeah. So she has an advanced form of the sickness,
but it's changed because at some point
it's taken away her sentience.
Because the ones because during the thing it started off being a fatal virus that killed people, and then 2% of the population was left. But then everyone who was left was basically immune. But then it evolved
to take away their speech.
Because the apes got smarter with each thing. And I feel like the virus also enhanced them maybe.
Yeah.
They got smarter, and the humans, though, instead of killing them,
they got dumber.
It makes reverts you to basically a primate.
Yeah. Except they don't lose their sentience or consciousness.
Not yet.
They just
they can't speak.
Like Nova she signs. She learns how to sign.
They lose a part. Well, they begin to lose a part of themselves. I do think
they lose the human in them.
Yes,
they become basically animals
because Nova is still learning to sign, and she has some
Mm-hmm.
humanity, and maybe she's stronger than most humans.
She was born into this whole thing as
Exactly.
well.
She could have been born into having it or something. But yeah, she has that, and so they don't know that yet. But then Maurice, like you said, has had this connection where throughout
He
the trilogy,
loves children.
He loves children, and
he's not just going to leave this girl to die out here.
See, he knows that Caesar won't just leave him, so they take her along.
Yep.
And
they build a connection with each other, and then they end up going into the snow.
I also love that through these moments, though, Caesar, each ape, maybe besides Rocket, gets to have a moment with Nova. It's really cute.
And it's fun because Caesar, he tries his hardest to be like
nice to her.
Not even that. He tries to be not nice to her. He tries to be like angry
because humans literally like only a day ago or two, like a couple of days ago, he lost almost everything.
But oh my god, dude, he like is nice to her though. He takes him a second to warm up.
Yeah,
but he like is fond of her and stuff, and he doesn't want her to get hurt. But like his main priority
he gives
is
her
the
some
apes.
water at some point.
Yes. So then we go to the snowy biome,
and they think at first, so they take a little break,
Mm-hmm.
and then they see this hooded figure ravaging through their stuff, and so they chase after him.
Yep.
And they get to this like old.
It's like a resort. It's like an old resort,
ski lodge or whatever.
Yeah.
And they look down this dark hallway, and he tosses out like
the gun that he
the
grabbed.
guns he took, and they say come out. And then as he comes out, he takes off the hood, and it turns out to be this ape.
He's a hairless ape. His
name in the movie is Bad Ape.
Yes, yeah.
And he's played by the Zon, Mr. Heffley himself.
So Bad Ape is this sweet kind of silly guy.
And he can talk.
He can talk. He learned from the zookeepers.
The zookeepers and also the soldiers who would call him Bad Ape.
Yeah, Bad Ape. But he learned and became sentient, and he's the only survivor from the zoo that he was from.
But he's very his arc is like going from being hurt and cowardice just because of survival reasons to having some courage and being he's a bit of a wallflower. He likes to stick to himself a bit, but he also tries to be nice. Like there's a moment where Nova wants to play with something, and he goes, "No, don't take that. That's mine."
Yeah.
And then he gives it to her though.
It's really funny. So they're going through this scene, and they're like. And he's like trying his best he's like talking to Caesar, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. And Nova keeps grabbing this little, I think it's a piece of a car or something. I think that's where he gets her name.
It's like a car part.
It's from like a Nova something, and that's like what it says. And he keeps being like, "No, that's mine."
Well, so
that's
you know
mine.
what? Do you want to know?
Hand.
Nova is actually the name of one of the original characters from the OG movies. Mm-hmm. Because in the OG movies, I think she's one of the humans that's like an astronaut comes over. Her name is Nova. And then they actually meet, if I'm not mistaken, the ape they meet that's nice to them in the OG movie is Cornelius. And then Cornelius has a son, though, called Caesar.
Yeah.
So they like a lot of throwback names.
So we're going through, and he's trying to like connect with these new apes that he's met. And he's happy to have friends, and that's awesome. But he's like, I will not take you guys to the bad place. Mm-hmm. And then they find out, okay, we can go to the bad place. He's going to take us there.
But just dangerous.
Awesome. It's dangerous.
And so they go, and then the moment they go, though, they realize that there
are apes that are strung up.
They sent them, there's apes that are strung up, and that he actually recognizes one by like the war paint on him. That's his ape. Yeah. And then he asks him what happened, and he goes, we were ambushed on the road by them, because I guess they like never leave, and they just like tracked him. And also during this time, we forgot to talk about Winter. So before they go to Bad Ape, they go to this this camp. Like they track the soldiers down, and they also see that they like started shooting some of their other soldiers and stuff. But also they run into Winter, and they ask him why he betrayed him. And Winter was scared because most of the apes that turn, like that are donkeys and stuff, they're scared of the humans because they're beginning to become powerful again. Yeah. And that Caesar has kind of like not like it's Caesar's fault, but humans have begun to rise up again. Yeah. And Caesar's empathy will be a weakness that kills him. And it honestly is. His empathy to Preacher and the soldiers got his family killed.
Yeah. And
if it was someone like Koba, it wouldn't have never happened.
Yeah. So Winter betrays him. They kill Winter because he was going to yell for some guards.
He was going to yell for help, and he needed to. And he feels bad because
He had to kill another ape.
He killed another ape.
And that's when he has another bad dream with Koba.
bad dream with Koba where he basically is like, Koba was right. And during the movie, before they actually go to the base, the army base, later in the movie, he talks with Rocket. And I love this moment because he talks with Rocket and they bond about their sons and all this. And he goes, but Koba was right. Koba would have, if I were more like Koba, I would have been like.
And then I think the thing he leads that conversation off of is Rocket's like, you're not Koba. And he goes, I am Koba.
And he basically goes, this journey is taking me on a place where I am going to be Koba, and I know that I will probably die.
Yeah. So they find out that the other apes have been captured. And they do, and I don't want to seem like I'm glossing over this, but, they find a hole in the bottom of the camp that they're in.
Caesar goes straight in, trying to do a little reconnaissance. Yeah. He gets captured.
Yep.
The other apes, so Maurice, Rocket. Also, at this point, while this happens, before they go in,
they were attacked by some soldiers.
They were attacked. Some soldiers happen, and Luca protects Caesar and the little girl and Nova and dies. And it's such a beautiful moment because literally, like, I think
even 2 scenes ago,
it's cold, and Luca puts a little flower in Nova's hair, having a cute moment. And it's brought back up with this one, but when Luca dies, she puts the same flower in Luca's hair.
And she cries for him.
And
that single action melted Caesar a bit.
Humans and apes, there's still a chance.
But he doesn't care. He's Koba now.
He's Koba now. Yeah. He doesn't take it out on her, but every other human he doesn't like. And then he goes in, and then he gets captured. So Maurice, Bad Ape, and Nova find this little underground.
Find a tunnel underground, and then they map out the place by telling each other.
We get the meme as well where he goes, "Oh no!"
And then so we're going through, and they do the plan to break out,
and he gets captured, and we finally get to meet the colonel up front. And we see that he is honestly this very hardened man, but he was hardened because the world made him.
Yeah, and he's also a logical guy. Nothing he says is like, that makes no sense. It's like,
it makes sense.
But he is crazy.
He is crazy and he's tyrannical. Like, so he uses Caesar and all the other apes. The reason why they're there, and we are like glossing over it, but we're trying to push a bit because we don't need to talk about every single scene in detail. The apes are captured because they are useful. They are stronger than the average man. And he uses them to build a wall to refortify the base because it's an old Air Force air defense
humans
base.
That are coming down.
So he uses them to defend it. And at first though, Caesar refuses, and all the apes follow it because Caesar is still their leader, and they find hope again. But then Caesar realizes that because of doing this and by defying the humans, he will get them killed, and it kind of brings Caesar back a little bit because Caesar was ready to just die and be lost again.
Then he realized, oh my God, literally everyone looks up to me.
I need to protect the apes. And then when the colonel shoots one of the orangutans, I like to call him the slangatang because he's so long.
Oh yeah, he got long arms and long legs.
And so he shoots him, and then he literally goes, everyone back to work. Well, Lake does it. Lake to protect Caesar. Yeah,
Lake is the one who steps up and
because
she's
Caesar was about to die again.
Guys, we have to get back to work or they're going to kill Caesar. And Caesar is like their beacon of hope.
Yeah, if Caesar is like their Martin Luther King, their Jesus of the apes, where basically it's more talk about him being Jesus of the apes in the next movie, but
he's the Martin Luther King of apes right now.
If he were to kill him, they would revolt, but by keeping him alive and basically breaking their spirits, they have to
he's their civil rights leader. And he's the person that's keeping them alive.
Knows this, so by just weakening him, it breaks their spirits, but they have to work to just survive, and they go back to being more primitive. And then he brings Caesar in, and Caesar has a one-on-one conversation, and he goes, I spared your men, and this is mercy, and you know nothing of mercy, you're just a human. And then you want to talk about it?
And then the colonel talks about how his son
got the flu, became an animal, and looked up at him, and he was talking about it in this moment, and he was like, he looked up at me. He could see the love in his eyes.
He could see that he was still there. Just he couldn't say anything or do anything. He basically
begged him to mercy kill him.
Yeah. So he sat there with the gun for a long time, and then he finally did kill his son. And he was like, Caesar, you're too emotional. You look at these people and you care about them so much, and it's clouding your judgment. You're so emotional. We have to think about this logically. And he was like, my people depend on you all not being here anymore. And he was like, and he basically was like vice versa. Like, You got to think of it logically, because for either side to survive, they can't be emotional.
It's like Darwinism.
Yeah.
He said it was. He did apologize. He said, "I'm sorry for killing your son. It wasn't personal."
Yeah, he was like, you take everything so personal.
You're so emotional.
You're so emotional. But he basically tells him, your son died and that sucks.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I didn't do it because it was your son. I did it because I thought
It's
it was
the
you.
law of nature. And then we learned that he killed his superiors because they didn't see the clarity that the simian flu was going to get them all killed.
And then also he was killing his own men who we see in the snow.
He
Bad
had
Ape.
to protect him. He killed his own son, and he was willing to kill anyone else who would put anyone else at risk.
And Caesar hates this
and he
guy.
hates
by the way.
this guy. And also now the other soldier factions or something are coming to him because he's basically a traitor.
Yeah.
And his men are his men are loyal. He's basically the human version of Caesar, in a sense, more like the human version of Koba.
Yeah.
And then so he sends Caesar back out to be locked up. And
the
Caesar
little
does
girl-
have the little girl has a great moment where Caesar is basically like dying of thirst, and she walks
gives him
in
water and then gives him food
with her hands.
and then also she ends up giving him
The
a
doll.
doll
And
that she had when she was when
there, back at
they
the
met
camp,
her,
first camp, yeah.
and it has some of her nose blood on
And
it.
so the next morning, they show up, and he's like, he's still alive, and he barks hope again. And at that point, he also talked with Rocket and Maurice and them, and they start to plan their escape.
Yep.
And there's also I don't want to talk about it because it's kind of like a quick movement, but it's like a good distraction so the girl can come in. I so thought Rocket was about to die, and my heart was stopped
dude.
because we've been with these characters since the first movie.
And this is a franchise that's just willing to kill main characters.
Yeah, exactly. And the part is like, these are. The thing is, like, you have to talk about the respect and also the amount of care they put into this film, where the side characters from
Matter
the first
so
movie
much.
are your favorite characters, and you feel for them and everything they do, and they may not be human in looks, but they're human in heart.
Yeah. And so Rocket goes in, he gets beat up, puts in the jail cell, but then he's like, do you feel better, Caesar?
Yeah.
Like, are you ready to be the leader that you need to be?
Agrees.
And he's like, yes, I'm ready.
So they plan their escape tying. Caesar kind of gets brought back with them again and put in the cage with the other apes. But then the colonel finds the doll, and he's like, how did this get in here? Like, he kind of goes into,
and then he confiscates it.
He confiscates it, and he also goes into like kind of paranoia, like lockdown mode. And so everyone's on guard. The apes start to escape. They get the kids too. And while this happens, they do get the base gets raided by the enemy. And so
by the way, it was like 400 guys versus like 2,000.
Yeah,
guys.
it was like 400 of his soldiers. Like, we saw them lined up in a marching thing. It was like 400. And then we look at the crowd. It's like
they have helicopters,
like 12,
and tanks.
12 helicopters, like 8 tanks, 2,000 guys in snow gears. Like, they're fortified, but it was like, there's no way they're winning.
No, yeah, there was no way.
And so the apes escape, but then while they're on their way out, like
Caesar
Rocket tells Caesar, let's go, but Caesar tells him again, I'm like Koba, and I wish I could just walk away and leave.
I gotta do this.
I know I have to protect my apes.
Yeah.
But I will not be myself again. I will not forgive myself, and my family would not forgive me if I did not get revenge. And so he goes up to him, and people are like calling out. They're like, Colonel, thinking like he's like asleep or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes up there, and he sees that the colonel got infected by the doll.
And he drank a bunch.
And
then he goes to kill him.
And even the colonel slowly looks in his eyes like he did to his son.
Yeah.
And he moves the gun towards the temple of his head. And Caesar has this big buildup where he looks him in the eyes, and it's rage. And he sees only the man that killed his family. And he starts building up, his breath starts raising in tempo and everything. And then he slows back down, and he realizes, I think it's a double meaning. It's a double meaning of, I'm bigger than you, and I'm also cursing you to die a slow death, but also you don't deserve my mercy, and your sympathy is like,
I've given you enough. I think the meaning behind it is, I've given you enough mercy,
and you've ended up destroying yourself with that mercy.
And then also, I think just the pure irony of, this is the worst thing that can happen to you. And I think because of that, he's like, I'd rather you stay like this and have to live like this
than me kill you and let you feel any sense of release.
You don't get to meet your son through me killing you.
Right, but then, and also he's like, I'm not gonna be this person, and he also kind of like relieves himself.
And then he puts the gun down next to him, and then he sits there and watches him.
He sits there and watches him. The colonel ends up using his final strength to kill himself, and then he leaves, and he kind of gets bombarded by the enemy.
Yeah, and there's a belt of grenades on the way out.
And this is where I think they do a couple mistakes. I get it. He's the main character, and they want to get shot at, and he did just kill the colonel. And, and people on the inside would, but the people on the outside, there's like 2,000 people that they have to focus on. They start taking it out on the apes that have no guns.
The apes are escaping. The apes are escaping, and there's a guy who has a big Gatling gun, and they all just start pointing their guns at the apes who are trying to escape.
Everybody.
When there are 2,000 soldiers, like a bunch of attack helicopters, tanks rolling up, and they act like they have the time to do that.
I think the fact is they destroyed all the helicopters, and they were cheering a bit, and then they started pointing the guns at the apes, and it's like, well, there's still like 4 tanks left, and like 1,000 like guys.
At least.
And so, but then it's like a dramatic slow-mo moment, and some apes are getting shot, and they're tied down, and then Caesar goes and he grabs a grenade thing, and he's gonna go blow up the thing, and then he gets shot in the back
by the dude with the arrow,
where he was
guy he saved. I hate Preacher
because he has like this. He seems like he's gonna be a guy that's like maybe sympathetic to Caesar.
Nope, he's a bad guy.
He ends up turning to be a bad guy, and then he shoots him in the back and the chest or something. He shoots him in a very vital spot. And then also during this time, Donkey, the gorilla.
By the way, the entire film, Caesar has been like, "Where's your ape pride?
Yeah,
what are you like? There's nothing left of you.
Yep.
You're not an ape anymore."
And in this moment, he is told to either fully finish the apes off, give this soldier his clip to destroy them, and
a rocket launcher.
And instead, he used the rocket launcher to blow up Preacher before he can kill Caesar, and then he immediately gets shot. He immediately gets killed, and then Caesar throws a grenade though and blows up like the entire wall, and then also another explosion happens, and he escapes, and he comes up, and he's honestly frightened. Because even though the other side is over and they've been beaten, the other humans are cheering and roaring like animals.
And then they turn around and then there's Caesar standing up proud.
They're about to shoot him because they realize it's an ape and it's a threat.
And then an avalanche hits him.
Happens. And I told Christian this when we were watching. I said, "This is a great like juxtaposition where it's nature always will correct itself and wipe out humans for trying to take power for themselves and also like affecting nature like that. And so it basically like will wipe it out and clean the slate. So this huge avalanche, by their own fault of shooting rockets at the mountain, causes this big snowfall to happen and wipes out all the thousands, like probably 1,000 of soldiers and stuff left. And the apes make it out. And the ending of the movie, they cross the border, they get to this like reserve, like land area, like Yosemite looking place. And everyone is all happy and celebrates.
And Maurice and Caesar are chilling.
Sitting. And then Maurice notices
that there's an arrow wound in Caesar. And Caesar looks at Maurice, and Maurice is freaking out. He's like, "Oh my God, like,
let's get help.
We have to help you." And he goes, "Apes are strong together, with or without me."
Yep.
And as he looks upon,
he
looks upon a dying world.
Tilts.
He starts sliding over, and then he ends up dying. And
he looks at his future, though. He looks at this beautiful future.
He looks at the beautiful future and the peace that he hoped that he created. And then
he slowly dies.
And then
people, and I love that, like, I was thinking it was going to end on him looking out and his eyes close and it cuts. I like that it kind of falls on him dying, and then the last shot is
we see Rocket run up, and we see
all these apes
Cornelius
run up, and then it pans up to the sky, and so that's the end of the Caesar trilogy. Beautiful movie. I give it like me personally, I give it like a middle 8. Middle 8.
By the way, all these movies are 7s and aboves.
All the movies are great. They're all good movies.
Yeah. So then we see at the next movie. So we see
7 years later.
This is the newest movie. This is the 2024
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It takes place 300 years later.
300 years later. But we get a shot at the beginning where we see Caesar's funeral.
Yep.
And we get to see Maurice one more time.
Yep.
Which, I will never complain about getting to see Maurice and Rocket.
I like the concept of this one because we don't really know what's going on at the beginning. But ultimately, just to lay the groundwork down, it's 300 years later. The Earth has been like terraformed and stuff. The humans have become sapien, like the disease has gotten to them, and the apes have become more advanced, and they started having like clans and kingdoms and different villages. But the whole premise of that is at the beginning of the film, it talks about them continuing the legacy of Caesar, and then throughout this movie, we learn that Caesar's sacrifice has become interpreted in different ways and been warped, where only like a couple people know the true.
It's basically like Christianity.
Yeah, it's like Christianity.
It has been. There's a bunch of different groups that think different things
because of time itself and different influences and stuff. It is only bound to be tainted a bit and used because the people that knew the actual history are gone, and so you can only interpret it so much.
And I think it's funny because what's funny is the main character has no idea who Caesar is before the movie starts.
Oh yeah, his name is Noah, and he's this son of this chief in the Eagle clan.
And they raise eagles, which is really cool.
They raise eagles. They in the beginning like sequence we see of them is that him and his two friends, Naya, and I think it's also in like
Anaya and
Anaya and
isn't it like an L name?
Sorry, yeah. Anaya and Suna.
Yeah.
So those two friends, Suna's kind of like his love interest.
She's the girl of the group.
But it's like the trio group, the best friend and the love interest.
Yeah.
But they get these eggs, and apparently it's also, I love that they're very rule based. So they go to this first nest, and Anaya and Suna, they say, "Oh, there's only 3," and Noah goes, "You guys take them because it's the ceremony.
We always have to leave.
But we have to leave one egg because they respect it. Their whole clan is based around these eagles." But then he sees another one, and he kind of shows that he's like the top dog. He climbs this area, but he's also sometimes like a little reckless, and he grabs an egg in the pursuit of just kind of getting it because he's young and adolescent.
Also, his dad is the
chief.
He's
not the chief. He's
the chief.
The main. Eagle,
what is it? The master of birds.
The master of birds.
Or it's something like that. He's like the master. I think it's
master of birds.
Yeah. His dad is he's one of those guys.
He's one of these tough
love. Doesn't say he's proud a lot.
Great proud respect of his son.
Yeah.
But also like he's also someone who's very big on tradition and realizes like, don't look to me to give you love and respect on everything you do.
You have to find that by yourself.
You have to find it by yourself, but I hope you understand what I'm saying.
And his mom loves him.
His mom loves him greatly and is with his friends. And then, but when he comes there though, he does get an egg, but he's like also not connecting with these birds. And a bird does like hit him in the face. But then his dad instantly notices that, because while they were there, they go back to their horses and they see that their blanket was taken by something.
They call it an echo.
An echo. So we know, we'll learn later that echoes are the name for humans now.
For humans who have gone
primitive.
Savage.
Well, they don't know about any other reason for them.
True, yeah. They just have always been that way for them.
And so some people call them humans, but they call them echoes. Because also this village is like super walled off.
Yeah, kind of. They're in a there's actually a rule that they're not allowed to go beyond like a certain point.
The valley
in the
or something.
Yeah, it's like the flat valley or
but
something. Which is a city.
It's like a subway tunnel that leads to like the city.
Yeah.
But they go there, and there's this cool scene where like there's this like chief, like you call him probably like the warrior of the clan, and his name is like Oba, like Obau.
Yeah, he goes back. Well, let me set this up first.
Yeah.
He gets the egg and he goes back to his home. He shows his mom, and his mom's really proud of him. And she's like, "Go tell your dad; he'll be proud of you." He tells his dad, but his dad's more focused on the echo thing than even his son getting an egg. Yeah. But then this elders. Warrior guy, Oba, he comes into frame, and he kind of reminds me of. Did you ever watch 9?
No.
Okay, so in 9, there's this. Number 8, I think is his number, or number 7. He's really big and muscular, and he like that's like the same type of stuff. Just reminded me of that for like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
but he comes into frame kind of hostile. He's like the best warrior.
We think he's gonna be like a tough head, but then he's like shows him respect, and he's like, it takes like a strong ape to climb the top, like and stuff. And
I think straight up he's like, "Did you climb past the top nest?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then he like gives him a fist bump.
Yeah, it's a cool and
it's so cute, and that makes me immediately like him.
But then that night, while he's happening, he has another run-in with the echo, and it's like this same person, the same girl, and he sees her for the first time like face to face. The other time it was like in a blur, and she's hiding in this little like fish hut, and she runs off.
And he chases her.
While it happens, he tries to chase her, and she breaks his egg. And so he starts getting panicked. And this is what just shows that he does grow from being like this village boy to like a true like leader and son of the clan, where he sometimes impulsively follows tradition, but also like doesn't know the meanings behind them. Mm-hmm. And he kind of like, not disobediently, but he tries to find a way to go get another egg.
Well, it's not even bad. It's just you have to have an egg before the ceremony,
or you have to wait another year,
or you have to wait a whole year. And he didn't want to wait a year, and he knew that his dad wasn't gonna just like
and be proud
cool
of him
with it.
Yeah, so he tries to go out and get it again. And when he goes out there though, he hears and he sees sparks and stuff, and he notices some dead apes.
And it was Oba. Oba 1v3'd
these scouts.
They
call them masks.
They had electric cattle prods
and like axes
basically, and axes and stuff. And he wiped them.
And then he got like, I think stabbed in the back.
He got stabbed in the back.
And he tells Noah, he's like, there are more. And then he dies. And then Oba hides, and then he sees that there is like these probably like 4 or 5 more.
Yeah.
Or no, there's like probably 10. There's like these 10 apes, and they're led by this gorilla like general type. Mm-hmm. And he basically goes like, he realizes there's a horse, and he realizes there's a village nearby, and he goes, find the village, we're looking for the girl.
So they go to the village, and they burn it down.
Yeah, Oba's running, and it kind of
Noah's running.
Noah's running, and I kind of called the shot, but I love the shot, so I'm calling out like I'm a fan. It's where you run and you anticipate you can get there in time, but you come back and it's already burning.
Yeah, it was already burning. They were already attacking people.
And also like the gorilla, while they're apes, it's definitely different factions. The gorilla shows up and he goes to their elder and he like stomps him, or he like chokes him or something, and takes his ritual thing and goes, "You belong to us now." And then Noah tries to help everybody, his friend Anaya and Suna and his mother, and he helps him a little bit, but then they're apes
like, go help your dad.
They go help your dad. So they get captured, and he runs to help his dad, and starts freeing
releasing the eagles.
But then the gorilla, I want to find his name, but the gorilla shows up, and he has the electro staff, and he faces off. So the gorilla's name is crap, I probably won't be able to tell you.
Well, he ends up killing his dad, and he thinks he ends up killing Noah, but he survives. And as he fell down and everybody saw him, they thought he died. So he gets up and he ends up finding an extra cattle prawn, and then he buries his dad. And his dad's eagle, who's named Eagle Son, is just hates. He's really, really he's kind of a how do you say this? He is the embodiment of his father, is how I felt and took it. He is tough on Noah. He is not nice to Noah, but he points him in the right direction.
His name, the ape, the gorilla is named Silva.
Okay,
he's played by Ika Darville, a great underrated actor who's been in the game.
Silva comes in and does all that, but then we see him bury his dad, and Eagle Son, which is his dad's eagle, does not accept him yet.
And it honestly, like, doesn't accept him. And also,
like I said, I think he is a metaphor for his father.
He's a metaphor for his father, and also I think it's interpretation of like what the Noah sees the eagle as a sign of a haunt, like a curse that he failed in his father's remnants.
He's sitting there and he's what's it called? He's like poking fun at, what is it? Oh
the
my
bird?
Gosh. No, the bird is poking fun at him. But what is it? It's like he's taunting him.
Yeah, and he tries to reach for it, and then it cuts his arm. And but I think it's honestly set up to be like, he knew he'd be ready when the time calls upon him, and he was just waiting for him.
Yeah.
But then,
like I said, I think it's a metaphor for his dad's acceptance. Yep. By the way, this movie was really good. Some of the CGI is, whatever, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, speaking of CGI, the world is great. We're talking about it. We think like, all the budget went to CGI, definitely. But a good 80% was definitely done in CGI. There's some shots that I feel like were on location, but a good amount of it is like, well, it's just the apes, so they probably
anything with the girl was on location.
Yes, but most of it, but they shot a lot of it in studio, I feel like, and then also they shot like you said, they filmed a lot of it on camera in the scenes, and then they built the environment around the camera movements and them and that.
So they're going through, and he gets his horse and he starts going on this war path.
And then so he tries to go after them, and he stops by the city and he starts to kind of see these like remnants of the city, and he falls and he gets pinned down by this guy named Raka. He's this tall orangutan, and he thinks at first, because when he tracks, like when he's on his hunt way back, he finds this electrostaff that's broken, and he takes it as like a way to try to have an edge on these guys. But when he finds Raka and Raka holds him down, he thinks that they call him the Mask, but he's not. And then Raka, like, they have a time to talk about it, and so Raka is like this Caesar
preacher, basically.
Like
he's basically
a disciple.
Yeah, a full-on disciple, and he knows most of the original story.
So he was taught by, I guess, his people, and like, you know, it passed down through generations.
And it sucks because his partner, we don't know if it was a girl or a boy, but the partner gets killed, and then he's alone.
Yep.
Yeah,
and he realizes he's alone, and it kind of is like a great thing that they connect, because it's two lonely people just trying to get revenge, but also like walk the good path because they know they're good.
He still follows the path of like apes don't kill apes.
Yeah. And he talks about, because then first of all, he's surprised by many things that Noah doesn't know. Like, he's like, you don't know that they're called humans. You don't know who Caesar is. And you also don't know about like the world. And he tells him that Caesar was the first elder.
And he cared about
humans and apes. And they one time coincided together. And he talked about,
he teaches about books.
He talked about books. And he also told Noah, though, that the big thing about Caesar is that apes are strong together, and that apes don't kill other apes.
Yeah.
And he tells him in that moment that the idea of Caesar has been tainted by different factions and time and loss of keeping the way. And yeah, like big like Christianity, like if you don't keep the way and you don't like continue the practices, you get lost in translation, and people start to bend it to the wrong way, and that's what like kind of the apes
then he finds out that an echo has been following.
They notice it because like
it's hungry.
They get into it, and it's hungry, and they're at this campfire, and they toss her, and they call her Nova, which is a callback to the kid in the third movie.
And it's funny because even the historian is like, I don't know why we call them or I don't know why Caesar,
because he only knows
Novas,
so much,
but he only knows the one Nova. Yeah,
because stuff does get lost. Like he knows a lot, and he's going to try to progress a lot of the way of Caesar, and he is the last elder that knows of Caesar, at least like to the audience now. Maybe there's more, but like in the region, he's the only one. But he takes a liking to the human.
Yeah.
And so because like while Noah is like ready to just like leave her be, he's like,
he finds her fascinating.
He's fascinating, and he goes, this is Caesar's way, and he would want us to take care of her. And so she rides along a bit, and she's on the horseback, and they have a cute moment here and there, and then they stop, and they see. Also during this campfire scene, Raka convinces Noah to give him his mother's blanket that was left behind during the fall of the clan, and it's a big sign
showing her mercy,
and a big sign of like, I will take care of you, even though I like kind of tolerate you more than I like you. And so they have a couple moments, and this is where I feel like a couple gripes. I think they very quickly have this moment, and then immediately it's like, oh, there's humans. All right, go.
Yeah.
It feels like they kind of rushed a bit of some beats. But obviously it's a long movie. It's a 2 hour, 25-minute movie, so I get it. There's a lot to go through. But that next moment, they see like real humans almost.
Yeah, they're just like the wandering packs of humans.
They're humans that are very filthy and primitive, and they can't speak.
And they're around zebras, which is really silly.
Yeah.
But as this is happening, we see the war band come through with Shiva.
Yep.
And or Silva.
And so they run them up, and they basically
they're looking for Nova.
For Nova, and they chase after them. And it's a great sequence because it's like you're herding cattle and you're hunting them, and they're running for their for fear.
And there's this awesome
like
shot
are running from like
of Nova. She's in tall grass,
and she's like tucked.
Yeah, she's hiding from them, but we see an overhead shot where we can see that her trails.
And their like trails are like leading towards her, and almost enclosing in on her. And then she calls out to Noah, and so she speaks.
Yeah, she says, Noah!
And he notices it, and he just gets her in the nick of time, and they beat up a thing, and even Raka has a cool moment where he hits an ape
By the way, it's really funny. He gets a big branch.
Yeah.
And then he goes and hits one, and then he goes, Caesar will forgive.
Yeah, he's like, because Rocca's like this pacifist.
Yeah.
Almost in a sense. Like, he was willing to...
Well, he literally has the mindset of Caesar
Ape,
where it's like, ape, don't kill ape.
And he didn't kill him, but he was like, Caesar will forgive me for
Yeah.
knocking him off his horse. And so they lose the horses, and they have another quick moment, and they talk about it the next day. And he's like, she spoke, and he goes, that's not true. And then she reveals herself, and she goes... I do have a name. It's not Nova. It's May. Mm-hmm. And Rocca just drops his stuff.
he's like, oh my God. By the way, before this, there had been a moment where Noah had looked through a telescope. By the way, this is kind of important.
Observatory type thing.
It's an observatory. He got to see like an expanse of the universe. And he was so shocked by it, and then he saw that she looked at it, and he was like, "Okay, there's something up with this."
Super normally.
Yeah, there's something up with this chick.
When she reveals herself, though, she talks about it, and she's speaking like full English.
And he's like, "You lied to me."
Right. This breaks his trust because one, he started to build this connection, and he started to kind of care for her a bit, and then of everything that happened. And everything that has been said, you can't trust a human.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking, but Rocca has full trust. And she explains to him, though, that some humans, kind of like the colonel and them, were stationed away.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like way later. But like there are factions of humans that didn't go sapien. There's factions of humans that were bunkered away that have always been progressive and have kept their mindset since the fall. And so she knows a lot. And she tells him that we need to find this place and I can get a book. And that's why they're after me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go on this path, and she realizes that she says she'll help them. The next scene, again, another time where I feel like they need like maybe another scene or two that really just bonded them together.
They get to the bridge.
Because they really rush it, and also I feel like the bridge is kind of like I think the bridge set piece is a little lame. But
I think that it was a little lame too. But
also
it's
like
okay.
it's a good way to show like they're being cornered. But they get cornered again by Silva and his apes. But this time...
They capture them.
They capture them, but the thing is that Rocca, so they fight them off, but then, so May, the human girl, she gets thrown into the water and she's barely holding on, and Rocca goes to save her because this is what Caesar would want, and he starts to care for her, and then he gets knocked in the water and she gets pushed up, but then he tells them last minute, he says to them like, wasn't it like never lose your way or something like that?
No, he said, remember apes strong together.
Yeah, remember apes strong together, and then he gets pushed into the water, and we saw before like when another enemy ape got thrown in. He basically it's big rapids.
Yeah.
So you're basically like getting a death sentence, and they both weep for him. And there's something we learn later, but like it's surprising that we see them both weep, human and ape together.
So they get captured and they get
taken
brought to
Proxima's
kingdom. Yeah, it's a kingdom.
Abandoned shipyard.
It's like a shipyard. Yeah, it's like a bunch of overturned ships.
But there's more. But what surprises Noah is that there's like so many factions and tents of apes.
There's at least like 3 or 4 clans.
Yeah.
If not more of apes that have been taken. They've been taken.
Yeah, they've been taken. They've been taken, and it's a bit weird because it's like they were separated and taken from their homes, but yet they were also given more community. And it wasn't like they were really like slaves. Like they do have to work a little bit under pressure.
They were like citizens.
They're like citizens. I think they have to work a little bit under pressure because they want to get that door open.
And Proximus, so he has this big vault that he wants to get into.
But he's also got great energy. And his first intro scene is like there's a lot of cheering and stuff. And he is enthusiastic.
And we have this awesome scene when they come in, they take away the human girl, and then Noah gets released, and the guy who releases him isn't like, he's not like get to work or anything.
He's like, welcome home, brother.
He says, welcome home, little bird.
Mm-hmm. Little bird, yeah.
And that's like, there's like instantly this sense of community because they're both apes.
Yep.
And it's interesting because it makes me a little bit more sympathetic. I mean, Proximus is crazy still.
He's still a bad guy, but he's like a bad guy again, like Koba.
He wants to
unite the
apes, and he wants them to evolve.
Yeah, evolution.
So he has a captured human that can speak and stuff.
I forget his name.
It's the dad from Shameless.
The dad from Shameless. So we're just gonna call him.
Dad from Shameless.
Dad from Shameless. No, his name. The guy's name is Trevathan. Wow, that's a long name.
All right, so the dad from Shameless.
Yeah. So what's his name in Shameless?
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I haven't seen like any of it.
Paul?
I think so.
Nah.
No, you're thinking of Paul, my team, Atreides.
His name, we'll call him Frank.
Oh, that's his name, Frank.
Ape movie Frank.
Yeah, so
you have to advise
Frank,
he's Ape movie Frank.
Yeah. So Frank,
no,
he basically just is
he
somebody who
accepts
teaches. Yeah, he's like, it's the apes world. I'm
Nova,
just living in it.
Nova confronts him because she gets brought in too, and so basically Proxima wants them both because they are smart humans to educate him on the human.
He's really
life.
Fascinated with Rome.
Yeah, because also like the Roman Empire was this great empire, and he wants to build this kingdom, and so Ape movie Frank tells him that he's going to teach him and reads him every single night, and
it's so interesting that he like got so fascinated by it that it ended up happening
to him.
Yeah,
and but then May, she talks to Ape movie Frank and goes like, how could you betray like the humans? And at this point, they're planting some seeds, and I'm like, hold on, she's sounding like kind of negative towards the apes. Like this is our world too. And he goes, no, it's been their world and it's going to remain their world. We have to just evolve and be with them. And this is our unity. We're not equals, but we're there. So it's almost like
Frank, by the way, he's like, I want you to like have this comfort that I have. He has hot running water, fresh clothes
and food.
He
offers it to her.
He's living like a human.
He's living like a normal human, and he literally all he has to do is just educate them and bring them up to his intellect. And she just can't see it. So then she tries to talk with Noah and says we must stop him. And Noah finds his family. It's a great reunite moment. He finds his family and his friends, but then he talks to his mother and he feels ashamed. But his mother reassures him that his father would be proud of him. But then he tries to say, but I'm here to save the Eagle clan. And she goes, son, the Eagle clan is gone now. We are one with the kingdom.
Which I think that's how all the tribes felt. I don't think anybody there, except for the Eagle clan, because they just got brought there. Yeah, I think everybody else was just assimilated in. Yeah. But
I mean, that's how civilization is. Like, I mean, even I told you, I was telling you in the theater, I was like, it's a colonization. You get colonized and you get brought here, and it all starts with tragedy, but then at some point it becomes a sense of community, and it's like every beginning kind of starts ugly. But it's the light you make of it. But I do think that they were still added pressure. Like they were ready to leave. And then there's this beautiful moment where he doesn't sing to the bird, but he kind of accepts who he is, and he accepts this.
And he also accepts Caesar's truth.
He accepts Caesar's truth, and that finally I think makes his father, the eagle, proud of him. And even Noah just being proud of himself.
Yeah, it was a confidence thing, and then the eagle ends up choosing him.
And then his mother sees it, and it's like basically like an inspiring moment where it's like it's home, and there's a chance that we could actually go home. And then so he talks with her, and he gets his friends with him, and they join him to do this plan. And then they're gonna start blowing up the water, like,
and they're gonna
bridge.
open up the vault.
Open the vault to flood the vault, and then the Ape movie Frank sees them, which I think is weird. I'm like, how did you get down? I mean, I know he probably has like a lot of free travel. I know, but I was like, how did you get down so fast?
Also, like, why would you even alert them? Why not just go tell the dude? Like,
well, I guess they're trying to give her another chance. Yeah. But also, like,
she just murders him.
I think he's a cool character. Again, another thing where it's like, give him another scene or something, or something, because it feels so abrupt, and it's also like, well,
we really didn't get to know
him. Did his
him.
character matter at that point? Like, at that point, we could have had Proxima just tell him, I can give you all these things. This is my world now. And
they could have literally just made it to where Proxima could read.
Right, but they killed Ape movie Frank, and they
dump him into the ocean.
They dump him. Like, even the apes are a little bit horrified where they see that she killed another person of her species, so limited that they are, and she kind of regrets it a bit.
Like, what's also crazy is she kind of does it. She just does it. Like, there's no like.
She does it kind of brutally, like an animal would.
And she doesn't like look back on it. And she's like, oh, like, this had to happen or anything. She just kills him and then throws him off.
And then they throw him in the river to hide his body.
And it's like, this is the moment where it feels like, oh my God, like, this chick is bad news.
There's something more bad about her. Exactly. And then they do a climb, and they climb up there, and they get inside, and it's like this, I don't know if it's really a silo. It's like a weapon silo maybe. And they
It's got it's like a bunker.
right, and so it's like they explore with some torches, and then she tells them to wait there, and
They turn on the power, by the way.
they turn on
also.
the power to the generator, and so they find. So she leaves them to go like look around or something. They find like a classroom,
And she finds guns and this
Floppy
terabyte floppy disk or something.
that's like important that we don't know what it's to because
Yeah.
she lied to them and said it was a book to help the
Yeah.
humans learn, which is not true. And so again, and also like she had to we didn't talk about it, but to get Noah to trust her again because Proxima was feeding him kind of like truth and a lie where it's like you can't trust the humans because they're bad and how dare you choose them over me. But he's been with May for the whole movie and he's been close with her, so he kind of only knows so much. And she convinces him though that she's like, I'm just doing this for my people and I want this for your people too.
But she's definitely wants to eradicate.
Oh yeah, and
Apes.
so she sees the guns, but we don't see her take one. But then
She takes a revolver.
She takes a revolver in a bag or something. But then Noah and them, they find this classroom, and in the book though they go, it's the letters like. The
Oh
letters
my
mean
god,
something.
this is the smartest.
Yes.
I think that this is probably my favorite part of the movie. This scene is when they see an ABC book and they're like, oh my god, the symbols mean something.
Yeah.
And then they turn and there's a kid's book
Yep.
on the zoo. And they're turning through and they see zebras and giraffes
And a
and they
gorilla.
flip it again and then it's a gorilla and
In a cage,
chimps.
and then there's a monkey, and they go, look at the happy monkey, and they go, because they know they've been told, at least Noah knows he's been told that apes, because he asks her, he goes, is it true that apes were the same? And she goes, no, apes were actually silent, and they were opposite to us. We were the dominant species.
Although, what's the king's name?
Proximus?
Proximus says that if things go back to how they were, we would be in cages again.
Yeah.
Is what he says.
And then he sees
he
it.
gets that information from her, and then he sees it in a book that is used to
And so at this
teach
point,
children.
it's only because of their friendship that he's like kind of hesitant to still help her. And then they get to the front and they open the gate up, and Proximus is waiting there with his clan, and he hits him one time, I think. He like hits Noah, and he's about to have one of his men kill Shuna for just going against him. But then we hear a loud bang, and the guard falls over dead. And Proximus, everyone else is terrified.
But Proximus is excited.
He's admiring it, and he goes,
Is there more of those?
He goes, you can go now. You can go, but just tell me, is there more of those in here? And there's like guns, tanks, cars, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Noah tries to talk to her, and he's like, please don't do this. And she goes, I have to, especially now that like there's no chance that they can escape. Like
They
quickly.
blow up.
She
the dam.
runs over. She blows up the dam, and the dam basically floods the entire inner kingdom thing. There's like the kingdom's also on this land, but it blows up like the inner castle, and it floods the silo. And so his whole clan and like the king and even like the gorilla like general get knocked inside, and it starts filling up. So they have to be quick. And I was telling Christian, kind of dark.
Mm-hmm.
The ape babies are probably dead.
Probably all gone.
Because they came in and it was not just adult apes, they were ape children. And I'm telling you, I was like, I did not see any ape
we
children.
don't see any of them escape.
They probably they probably did, but like even in the end shot, it was probably the adults that survived. They probably got swept away by the water.
By the way, the ape guy, what's his name again?
Noah?
No. Shiva.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. Shiva, dumb. He, instead of running for his life, he just attacks Noah.
Sorry, it's not Shiva. It's wait. Oh, you mean the gorilla?
Yeah, the gorilla.
Shiva, yeah.
So Silva. Sorry, I put Shiva in our minds now. Silva.
Yeah.
For some reason, instead of escaping and surviving,
I guess because he's like at this point he's just like doing the business of I'm gonna kill you.
I gotta kill these guys.
We've had pent up aggression, and he chases them, and then Noah traps them in a smart way because he realizes that he's not just he's still like smart, but he's also blinded by just basic instinct, and he chases them. And then he traps him, and he basically traps him to be drowned.
He drowns to death. Bro literally could have just ran, but he gets drowned instead.
And then he makes it up with all of his friends, and then he gets kind of surprise attacked by Proximus, and Proximus beats him down. really decent amount, and they try to help him a little bit, but he tells him to get back.
Yeah.
And then he basically tells him like, I told you not to trust the human. You betrayed me, and like it's kind of like ape versus ape. And he's like, you're nothing, and he's telling him that he's not worthy, and that he's a fool of an ape.
And he's like, you're gonna stand up to bow to me before I kill you.
Before I kill you, because he still has this moment of I'm the king, and he has a bit of a Koba moment. The Proximus does, where he's like, I'm the bigger ape, I'm the king, and then he hears this song, which it was alluded to at the beginning. I think they did sing it at the beginning. At least his father did, but he is told, could you sing for me? It unites you with the eagles, and he goes no, because he wasn't on the journey. He wasn't connected. But now that he was, and now that he needs it,
he sings,
and so does the rest of his clan.
And the eagles come back,
and they start attacking Proximus and overwhelming him. And then he sends a final blow with his eagle, and it knocks Proximus off, killing him.
Which kind of gives his dad his revenge.
Yeah, it gives his dad the justice and revenge for his clan, but also his clan shows that they aren't getting washed away just by getting like taken over. They are still alive. And so they go home, and they start rebuilding society. So I think it's like maybe a couple months, maybe. Or even a year.
For sure. I mean, it had to have been long enough for them to restructure.
I think 2 months.
Probably,
because also May is there, and he sees her like decently far away, and she talks to him, and she literally says, I'm here to say goodbye. And he asks her, he's like, why do you think that we can't be like live together? And we cut to a shot. She has like the revolver behind her back, almost like she might have was going.
I think she was gonna kill him.
She was either gonna kill him or for her protection. She didn't know what he was gonna do, and she was gonna shoot him. But then because of this bondage, the other humans we see her with don't have a liking to the apes. She bonded with this ape. She bonded with Rock.
She's been with him the whole movie.
I kind of said that there were some like romantic tension.
He kept looking over at me in the theater and kept being like, the sexual tension's crazy.
I know that they're apes, but she definitely was like falling for him a bit. But she was also a little jealous. She was like, you like that one ape, and it's like,
I don't think she was. I think she was just being like, oh, you like her, don't you? And just to connect with him.
I'm telling you, bro.
I think you were reading into it too much.
Maybe. But anyway, so he tells her, he's like, why can't we? Like, he asks her, he's like,
why can't we be
basically
friends?
And he basically gives her like an ultimatum, and she kind of answers. She doesn't answer.
They both are like, maybe. Like, maybe it could work one day.
But then she leaves him, and she goes off to return to her base, and then Noah and Shuna, they go off on their own on a trip to, I guess, discover the next of the world. And so he has like his eagle still, and then we see that May goes back to like this satellite dish station, and inside there's people who wear like hazmat suits, because I guess they are humans that are fully functioning, like they talk normal, but I think that they are more susceptible to the virus. And so we think as a theory is that May is like immune.
Yeah, like she's immune to the like simian part and stuff. And so she had to have been, because she was in the woods for so long.
And she was next to other simian humans. And so we see that the floppy disk was a big connector to connect to the satellite disk and go around the world. And so that they could connect. And they connected with somebody, like another station from Indiana.
In Indiana, which is crazy. So they've set up the movie to kind of be like, there's humans v ape war again, but like,
and
I just hope they don't do that.
Yeah, because we were talking about this, and we feel like another problem with the film is it sets it up where it's like, we've seen the human versus ape thing, and it's okay because it's like it's a new generation. We understand
history repeats itself,
right? But like in a story narrative, though, it's like I don't want to re-see this happening, because another film franchise where they have a thing where the villain comes back and they have another fight because they just can't be left alone. Avatar.
Also, another thing with that, it's been 300 to 200 years?
300 years.
300 years. And there has been no violence between the apes and humans.
The apes don't really know that the humans are sentient.
Bro, why does it matter anymore? They could literally set up a settlement away from apes. You probably can't even
take it back, realistically. Just try to
The virus is going to still be there.
Yeah. And also, like,
it's an airborne, and it's not, I don't think it's airborne. I think it's
They
Well,
also know that
don't know.
they mentioned that they know that they started it. Like she mentioned.
Oh my God! Wait, yeah.
Yeah.
So she is mad. She doesn't like the apes, but she 100% admits
has been taught that they.
the virus was human made.
Yep.
And that's what's been killing them. But she still has this animosity because the apes are fine and they get to do whatever they want. But it's not their fault. They didn't do anything. They just are trying to live.
Who is teaching these people that they have like, because it's like versus the Caesar thing where it's like they've lost the way of Caesar. How do these humans know so much?
That's what I'm saying. How has the information, one, not been twisted? And two, how do you look at the information? Because like, I'd be okay if she was like, we gave you guys sentience, but then you gave us a virus. Like that would be okay if
like
it was misinformation.
It was lost in translation.
But it wasn't. She was like,
Plot
we
hole.
created all of this. We're the reason this
hole.
happened, but we hate you.
Yeah.
And it's so dumb. It's just, that's like the dumbest part of the
So
movie.
it sets it up, and so that's like the sequel is that they're on the enemy side. They're probably gonna tally up some numbers and have this.
When are they
holy
gonna do
war.
the second movie, you think?
Well, it probably takes a lot of time. I think it's gonna be a shorter turnaround than the last movie
It'll probably be like 3 years.
because the last movie was since war to this movie it was 7 years, but that's because they had to like think of a new trajectory for a trilogy, and I think
They also had to get greenlit.
they had to get greenlit, and COVID lost 2 years. So I think it's like a 3. Also motion capture.
I think a 3 year.
A 3 to 4 year turnaround. So
Easy.
2027.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great because if they do 2027 and then they at least make a third movie to like have 2 trilogies if they don't do the whole 9. 2030. So it would have been 20 years since the first movie. 70 years since the original movie. Stuff like that where like I could see it happening. Honestly, I don't know about a 9 movie thing. I think just because like at that point it's like you have to be really on your A game, and they've not made a bad movie. They've not made a just okay movie. All of them have been good, but I just worry that like stretching a franchise so far.
Well, I'm worried what they're gonna do is they're gonna make a bunch of okay movies, but they're gonna be like the same movie over and over and over again.
If the theme is the same each time, I'm gonna start getting bored of it. Where like I like what you said, where you were like, have this next movie be that if I wouldn't even mind if it's like a tiny time jump, like a year maybe, and the humans have developed more. They migrated and they started to form this faction again, and Noah has become more aware. And even in credit scene, we actually do hear the noise of Raka. So he's
so he's probably alive. I think that there's going to be some sort of holy war in this, and that's fine. I think this movie, by the way, I think the human part is the most egregious out of any of the films. It makes zero sense, a lot of it. I get being angry at them, but like it can't be because of it just doesn't make sense. Like when you think about it, they've had 200 years or 300 years to ruminate and be like, we created this. It's our hole to be in. And we're surviving, sure, but like whatever. It's just weird that they have this mentality and this hatred for something that they know that they created. And also, it's not like they're not sentient. Like you can go and talk to the apes. They could coexist. It wouldn't be that hard.
It's just a distaste, basically.
Yeah, and also like they'd have to kill. The thing that's really crazy is the virus still lives in all the humans that are like simianed out.
Right.
So it's like they would have to eradicate all the monkeys
and all the humans
that are about to restart. And then also they would have to restart in camps and settlements that aren't going to be technologically advanced. It makes zero sense. Like it's just gonna be bad.
Maybe it has something to do with them being sheltered, but at that point, it's like as a narrative, though, I feel like because it's like dramatic irony. The audience already knows what the humans don't already know, and it's just kind of like stuff like that, where it's like, well, now I have to wait for them to play catch up a bit.
And I'm just saying, there's no way they don't know about the other stuff that happened in between the movies because they know everything else.
I think I have trust. I have trust that they haven't made a bad movie. Haven't made one yet, and I think that they are going to do a good job if they have good direction on it. And I just think it'll be cool. Final score for me on this one, I go back and forth. I don't think the minor nitpicks really hurt too much. I think it's a low 7, maybe pushing like 6.8, like 6.5.
I think I'd give it. I really did like the movie. I like the
still
8
like
parts.
The 8
most.
parts are really good.
That if it was just the 8 parts and there wasn't the human parts, this movie would be an easy 8 or 9.
Yep.
But like, man, I think I'm gonna have to give it a 7.
I think a crisp 7. I agree.
Yeah.
So what would you rank them? I mean, we already talked about.
So my ranking, which is on both of our letterboxes, by the way, but my ranking for the film so far
worst to best
is 2 or worst to best.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you probably go War.
I would go Kingdom, War,
Rise,
and then Dawn.
I would go Kingdom, Rise, War, Dawn.
You don't like Rise very much, the first one?
I have some issues with some of the editing in there, and like
I get
and like a performance or two. It's a personal thing. I have a personal issue when it comes to like some human bits. But I think I just really like one. I'm a Woody Harrelson stan. So Woody Harrelson, I'm big on you. I think I love some of the CGI is distracting in Rise just a little bit. Like it's still really good, but some of it is a little distracting.
Same issue I have with Kingdom. The birds did not look good.
Also, I like the
I
also like just the dynamic of like it's the conclusion, and we've been with these characters for so long where I'm literally like, Rocket.
Oh yeah, for sure, and you know. That's something that like that's the reason I think the second one's so good. But I gotta say, I really, really, really liked for the Kingdom. I liked that they had this coexistence with the Eagles. Although, if you're gonna have the Eagles be that big of a plot point, you gotta make them look really, really good. I think they looked pretty rough, even compared to like the Rise. Like the models for the birds looked like they should have been in Rise instead of where they are now.
Yeah.
They did a great job though with the animation stuff. The birds felt real. They just the models weren't good.
The zebras look good if they were real or not real.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if the seagulls were real or not. And if they're a CGI, y'all did great on those. But there was just a lot. The feathers were the issue. The animations for the eagles were fantastic.
Yeah.
They looked like birds.
Well, I think it's just like, I mean, I haven't really seen, definitely someone has perfected it or worked on it really well. I haven't really seen like bird animation become crazy big because at least like with apes, you can like motion capture them to be with a character that's like human bodies.
When you think of like, it's interesting because the other big CGI movies, not in the MonsterVerse. There hasn't been a kaiju movie recently that has had a big feathered bird.
Since like King of the Monsters.
Nope, because Rodan is a lizard bird. He looks like a pterodactyl.
Mothra.
Mothra's not. She doesn't have feathers. She's fur.
The only beautiful bird movie I've ever seen with animation and CGI is the Rise of the Guardians of Ga'Hoole with the owl movie. Remember that?
Yeah. The Owls versus the Hornets.
No.
Oh.
It's this owl movie. You've probably seen it as a kid. It was like these owls are stretched by Zack Snyder. But it's basically these owls get taken into this owl faction. And it's like a war. You have like the evil owls and the rebel owls. And
I've probably seen it, yeah.
If you like Google it, you'll probably see it. But like,
we should watch a bunch of old movies like that and do an episode over them. Yeah. Or like movies about animals. But anyways, so while we're talking about this though, the eagles didn't look very good. And I will say it's funny because I don't think there's been any big feathered creatures.
Agree.
The only time I can think of is Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, the newest one. And they had some feathered... the feathers were simulated on that one raptor. But like in the MonsterVerse, there's no big feathered creatures that we've seen. In Avatar, all the creatures, all the drakes and stuff,
gliding.
They're gliders. Yeah, they're like almost reptilian with their wings. We've seen almost only dinosaurs recently that have VFX. I don't know. Maybe it's just the bird. Maybe feather simulation isn't as far as I thought it should be. But like, man, it just sucked because that's the only thing that took me out of the movie. I was so in it for everything.
Literally, it's so dumb. I was going to say, I think there's good CGI done with Eagly from Peacemaker.
True.
He's a little cute eagle. But that's
his model definitely looks better.
It's so much easier. But It's so much easier to do. I think that than like
But
also,
his animations
because
look
also
bad.
like the eagle is also like a red eagle and like a special or not
Yeah.
red eagle but like a golden eagle, whatever it's called.
I think the eagle. I think it was cool that they had eagles. I
Just
think they should have just been falcons.
maybe focus on that next. Like
Yeah.
the apes look great.
I'm sure that the eagles are gonna be. They're gonna play a part in the next movie, of course.
Yeah, they're the clan, man.
By the way, if Noah isn't in the next movie, that'll make zero sense to me.
Because he has
We
such
set him up in this movie.
He has a tie with May.
It would make. Oh my god! If they end up doing like.
Well, they'd have to because
Oh no! What if they do Avatar: The Way of Water, where they take Noah and the girl and his eagle and go to a different monkey settlement,
Well,
where they have different traditions?
I would literally be like, I was telling you this. I was like, literally,
no.
Avatar 3 is gonna probably come out like next year or in 2026, and we're gonna be aiming on like another ape movie coming out like around that time. So literally, it's like it's the battle between you're on this planet of like nature and cultural like villages and stuff, and then there's like the hero's journey of this one character versus like humans, and it's like, man, what how would you expect that happening of like the same kind of like concept?
As long as they
big
don't end up
franchise?
doing the same. I
I
pray
mean,
they don't.
Well, here's the thing: as good as the monkey movies are, Avatar just sells like money and tickets.
Oh yeah, I mean Avatar is just
it prints.
it's
money,
a better
man.
it's a better production
It's a
overall.
well, yeah, because they as good as the digital design of the Apes movies are. Avatar literally They invented a whole nother like tracking motion.
They
thing
invented a
too.
whole way of animating and stuff and doing visual effects.
Plus, it's cool, but also like my same gripe with Avatar is like if they bring back they have this one guy, the main general dude, be the villain, and they're probably gonna have him be like another partial antagonist for the third bit, not the main one. But it's like at that point, dude, it's like, oh my gosh, just like
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bored of these. Also, I have a tad issue where I need to get over it, but I have an issue where when I said it when we were talking about Godzilla versus Kong or Godzilla X Kong. Sometimes I can't really focus on a movie when it's all CGI. Animation is a bit different. I know there's different versions of animation, so like 2D, 3D.
Well, animated movies don't look like real life. They're not trying to imitate real life.
But like a motion capture film is a bit, and sometimes I can't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can't even like stay with a film like that. I did it with Planet of the Apes because I think it's good, and they also have a human aspect in there. But a movie like
the fact that they're primates means that like. I don't know a lot about primates and the way that they act, but because they act so human, my brain's like, oh, they're like just us.
It's also good writing, but like the moment it becomes a huge CGI fest and it's like that, my brain clicks off because I know it's not real.
Like the live action Lion King and stuff, like those movies.
That one I turned my brain off because it was just so boring.
True, but also the CGI. I don't know.
We're getting Mufasa.
It's gonna be interesting.
I'm not watching it. I'm gonna boycott it. I'm going to boycott that movie. I will also be boycotting, you hear it now, hold me to my word, Toy Story 5.
Are you not going to boycott Wicked, are you?
No.
We're going to definitely... Oh my God, we have to do a musical movie episode.
I would love to do musicals. We talk about like Wicked, La La Land,
Barbie,
West Side Story, Fiddler on the Roof.
We've already talked about Barbie, but I'd be willing to throw it in.
Yeah, Barbenheimer. But like, I mean, Barbie's not really like a musical though. I'm not trying to like.
I'm just Ken.
That one song does not.
Anywhere else I'd be
that
a
song
10.
does not warrant. I'm sorry, it does not warrant it.
What do you mean?
It doesn't warrant being a musical. It's a musical number.
Didn't it win like best original song for a picture or something?
Because Billie Eilish made
it. She didn't win it. Ryan Gosling won it. He did.
No,
he won. He won best song. Search it up right now. I bet you did.
How much you betting me?
I'll bet you
$5.
one whole kiss on the lips.
Nope, $5.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. He won one. I don't know if he won an Emmy or anything, but he won one.
He did not. Let's see. Sorry, brother. I'm like the encyclopedia.
That's fine.
Frick, come here. Tell me the awards. Oh, Oscars. But I need the actual Oscars, pal.
I'm just kidding.
So, best
Anywhere else I'd be a 10.
They performed it, but best original song goes to "What Was I Made For" from Billie Eilish.
I don't know. I'm cutting it out of the end of the podcast.
No, you can't.
I'm cutting it out. I wasn't wrong.
They performed all the songs. That's what they do every single time.
They nominated it though, didn't they?
Yeah, they nominated it. It won best original song, I think, at the BAFTAs. The British Film.
Listen, I know he won an award.
He won an award for it, but he didn't win the Oscars.
I remember it being weird because Ryan Gosling was like, I shouldn't win.
His face was like,
he was like, I don't deserve this for
but
award at all.
What Was I Made For won the Oscar.
That makes sense. Billie Eilish her personal music has kind of gotten repetitive-ish.
Did you listen to her new album?
It feels like Taylor Swift stuff.
I haven't listened to it.
It feels like mass-produced slop.
Would you rather have that than Karma's a Bitch? Jojo Siwa. We're gonna make a movie about Jojo Siwa.
Please don't make a documentary about Jojo Siwa. But yeah, so that's our general thoughts over
monkey movies.
I will tell you guys this. I was really excited to get to watch these.
Because some of these were first timers.
Yeah, this was a franchise that I just really, really like. And even though they're not the best movies in the world, I really do like them. I appreciate them a lot. And I think all of these movies are watchable. You guys should definitely watch the first 3 movies.
At least watch the new stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not telling you don't watch the old stuff, but like some people can't get into old movies like that.
Watch the first 3 of this franchise and
watch the trilogy.
You don't got to watch the new ones, honestly. They're a totally different storyline. But if you want to watch 3 movies that are pretty self-contained, super fun, they have a great ending.
Yep.
Watch them. They're great. But yeah, I mean, I think this will be our longest episode to date.
Oh yeah. I don't know what's next. We have like upcoming ideas.
I said, we're going to do Aliens for sure in October.
We said something about maybe doing a Robin Williams thing.
A Robin Williams, just like a big episode.
But we also may do a couple keeping it shorts just for films we like. Like, I'd like to maybe talk about Twisters, like out of theater reactions.
Which we could also do, if we talk about Twisters, we could talk about Twister and Twisters.
The original movie? Yeah.
The original 2 movies.
There's only one original movie.
There's Twister, and then there is a separate franchise that is the same movie called Twisters.
Like Geostorm?
No. There's Twister and Twisters. They're 2 different franchises, but they are the same movie.
But I thought there's a movie called Twisters that's coming out this year.
There is, yeah.
But there's another one called Twisters?
Yes. Where I think it's literally beat for beat, pound for pound, basically Twister.
Oh, cool.
It's so dumb, I know. But those movies, they're like Sharknado.
Yeah, it'd be cool to look at it maybe. But we're thinking about doing that. So we might drop a couple of keeping it shorts of out of theater stuff. Like we said,
I might try to convince Cooper to revisit Killer Clowns from Outer Space because the game just dropped.
Nope. We may do a game commentary. Who knows?
I want to revisit the movie,
but we may have an exception episode where we do a little game playthrough on the channel.
Maybe a little keep in short where we talk about the movie.
Nope.
And we talk about the movie.
But then also like maybe we're gonna try to hop in and do that. Making movies is hard. So
yes, we're gonna once we get the new mic, we're gonna test out 3 people.
Has been ordered, studio. By the way. Mic has been ordered.
Yes.
So, but yeah, lots of good things coming in. Lots of new content.
Go follow our letterboxes.
Go follow my letterbox. I watch a lot more movies and like my list and argue with my idea. Madam Web's the worst movie so far.
Go follow my letterbox.
His.
My reviews are better and funnier, but
I don't know. I'm pretty funny.
But yeah, I agree that Madam Web sucks. No, I haven't even seen it.
It's at the bottom. Godzilla's next. Dune's number 1. Challengers number 2.
Worst movie I've watched this year is still Nosferatu. But like Godzilla X Kong is right next to it, which is rough.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and please enjoy your summer.
Oh my gosh, guys, please enjoy your summer.
Please stay tuned for more. Please get out of the house. Please touch grass. Please don't yell at the monkeys or they may uprise after we try to cure Alzheimer's.
I don't blame them.
And
I'll join them.
I have been Cooper.
I've been Christian.
And this is The Real
Deal
Podcast.
We'll see you guys later.
Later.
Mwah.
Gross.